Hey guys, welcome back to the Loft Project live stream. As always, I'm your host, James Robertson. We're back for yet another live episode. I believe this is episode 50. As always, if you like the content, why not press the subscribe button and never miss another episode. Right, back to tonight's show. Got a very special guest on the show tonight. I feel very honored and privileged that he's given some of his precious time up to talk to us tonight. I don't think there could be any exaggeration when I say that he is one of the original founding fathers of the modern day flat earth movement. He's the author of the now legendary Flat Earth Clues, and he's the host of the Strange World podcast. So without further ado, welcome to the Loft Project, Mr. Mark Sargent. Welcome.
Hi, and thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
No, thank you so much. I realize you're a very busy guy, and I appreciate you sharing some time with us
No,
today.
no,
So
no.
thank
It was
you.
it was perfect timing. I just finished a high school class in Texas, and you are in Scotland, I
Yeah,
believe.
Scotland. Yeah. The Kingdom of Fife. We're about 30 minutes away from Edinburgh.
Wow. Cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool. I've always been a big fan of the UK. Loved it when I went over there a couple times during the and because Flat Earth took me over there and love UK culture. I know that
Did
it's
you?
go ahead.
Sorry, did you manage to come to Scotland?
N- no, I didn't.
Oh
I
no,
was I was part of
no.
the van tour. I went to so many I went to all the major airports in the UK, went and did street activism in Dublin,
Yeah,
and
cool.
did not get a chance to swing by Scotland. Unfortunately, I
Oh,
feel bad. I feel
that's
bad.
wrong. That's criminal. That is
I
criminal.
know,
That's criminal.
and I almost came back a third time because you guys over there have something called Pancake Day.
Yeah,
And
yes, yeah.
somebody a rep from McDonald's contacted me and they say, "Hey, we want to do a McDonald's commercial in London. Would you come over for pancake, do this for our pancake day?" It's like, "Yeah, sweet." But they scheduled it for March of 2020. And as you know,
Yeah,
that's when all of a
yeah.
sudden then they call me back. It's like, "Sorry, man, the border's closed." And it's like, "Damn it. That
Ah,
sucks."
well, you have to come back. You have to come back at
If I
least
come back,
anyway.
I will make an effort to go to Scotland. I
100%, 100%.
I
Start with
will.
Edinburgh. Start with Edinburgh.
All right, all right.
First of all, listen, we all know now within the flat Earth community that how kind of legendary the flat Earth clues was, and I just want to share with you that, and I can't emphasize enough that this podcast wouldn't exist. My friendships with so many people, including Conspiracy Music Guru. Big shout out to Alex Michael, who's watching. I believe he's in the chat right now. Big thank you
Oh,
to him. None of that would exist without Flat Earth Clues and yourself, because it's such a big part of my awakening story. It was when I first heard that people thought the Earth was flat. I obviously the same as everybody else that thought they were crazy, and as you know, I think back then before YouTube changed the algorithm, you could actually find real Flat Earth content,
right.
and then I just stumbled across Flat Earth Clues, and that was it. That was it. I was just like, oh my God, it could be. It might be. It
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you.
You are very welcome, and thank you for saying all those kind things. I did not have any idea it was going to do what it did because the initial intent of the Flat Earth Clues was to get answers. It
Yeah,
was a solicitation into the internet, and just like yelling into a cave, and it's like, okay, what's going to come back? And I thought,
yeah,
just be some scientist like, you're doing it wrong. Shut up and here, kill your channel. And everything else came back instead. I mean, all sorts of interesting people I've cherished over the last 10 years, opportunities I never would have. It was basically an amusement park ride car showed up in my living room and said,
yeah.
"Get on." And you had a choice. It's like I could have ignored it. I could have been like, "Oh, this is too scary. I'm not going to do it." Or I get on and said yes to everything, and I've never regretted a single moment, not one.
Yeah. So I've always been interested to know before you got to the Flat Earth Clues, when you started writing it, or what
Right.
was your kind of how what's your journey? How did you discover it? What was the thing that made you come to Flat Earth?
It was flat earth boredom. I had gone down, it's the running joke. It's like I finished the internet, basically. Because I never got married or had kids. If anybody
Yeah,
gives don't know, I had tons of free time on my hands. Tons. You don't have
yeah,
no idea. I mean,
yeah.
I had so much free time that I had gone, and I was there when the internet was new. So I was lucky that, I mean, I actually could finish the internet back in the old days. And I went down every rabbit hole I could go down. everyone's, and I started out, and I was so hungry because I grew up in an island, up in the Pacific Northwest near Seattle, to where I was very, very sheltered. I didn't even know there was more than one religion until I got off that island, and
Yeah.
went down. And so I was very, very naive, didn't even know about anything until like JFK, for example. Didn't even know that a conspiracy was a thought. That's like, what, people in power lie about things? And
Yeah.
seriously, I mean, I remember going to the theater in the early 90s when that thing came out. And the whole theater was so angry when they came out. Oliver Stone did a wonderful job on that movie. And then slowly but surely, I went down. I'm not going to rattle them off here for various reasons, but I went down just about every road you could go down until finally
Yeah.
there was no other rabbit hole. I have an opinion on every conspiracy there is. And then finally, I got to the end, and I'm like sitting there, and I was like 46, and I was going, well, is there anything left? And I'm staring at flat Earth. I was going, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. It sucks. Everybody hates flat Earth. I mean, you've seen the documentary.
Yeah.
It's a terrible conspiracy, and it's the only one we debunk to children. I'm going, okay, fine. I'll just do it. And I remember vividly that when I clicked on it, my very first flat Earth video, and there was not a lot back in 2014, in the summer of 2014.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember getting a visceral reaction, meaning I was getting flushed. I was embarrassed to click on it. And that caught me because I'm introspective a lot. And I'm going, wait a minute, why am I embarrassed to click on this video? I'm a guy on the internet that's been on the internet for a long time. I've seen a lot of freaky stuff, right? Nothing's
Yeah.
embarrassed me, right? I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
naked people out there doing
Yeah.
weird stuff. And this thing, and has never got embarrassed. Well, maybe back in the beginning, but now it's like, no, nothing embarrasses me, and it's like, holy smokes, why am I embarrassed to click on this? I mean, the drapes are pulled. There's no one in there but me. It's like, why is this bothering me so much? And then all of a sudden, it hit me. It's like, wait a minute, maybe there's something more to this than I know.
Yeah.
And when I got into it, I was looking at Matt Boylan's stuff. Did not even know who Eric DeBay was, unfortunately, because people were messages like, "Hey, haven't you ever looked at Eric?" It's like, look, it's tough to find anything out there.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, 9 months later, I worked on it for 9 months off and on. And it's like, okay, flat Earth, I can't prove the globe in a court of law anymore. Therefore, I've got to ask. I've got to ask the internet. So I made, the flat Earth clue, the first one, woke up in the middle of the night, Jerry Maguire
Yeah.
moment, made the clue, narrated it, put all the slides to it, and then fired it off there with all my contact information. And here
Oh,
was the key.
wow.
Yeah, I know. It was so smart.
Wow.
I do not recommend anyone do that.
No.
Women should never do it, period.
No,
But
definitely
but I
not.
mean my phone number, my real address, my full name,
Wow.
the whole
Wow.
thing.
Your home address.
Yeah, my home address. Sure, why not?
Wow.
Why not?
Wow.
Well, I mean, I wanted to be transparent. It's like, look, I'm a real
Yeah.
guy in Colorado. This is what I'm looking at. Here's my address if you want to send me something, who knows? Just put it all out there. And never thought for a second that it would bounce back to me the way that it did, but it did.
Yeah.
And the very first person that called me, believe it or not, was Matt Boylan, Math Powerland,
Yeah. Yeah.
during Clue 2. I had just finished Clue 2. And again, all this weird stuff was happening to me that it was so unique to me, which was, he calls me and he's trying to feel me out because he doesn't know who I am, right? He's like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
obviously an agent. It's like, really? Because I've
Yeah.
been making some flat earth clues. I don't know what agents do, but I don't think it's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he goes, hey, why aren't you answering my texts? And I go like, what? He goes, you're not answering my texts. I've been sending you a bunch of texts. And I go, because I don't have a cell phone? I didn't. And because if you don't know, if you text somebody to a landline, the text goes nowhere and you don't get a bounce back. Your thing
Yeah.
is, sorry, your text wasn't delivered. It just goes poof. It just
Yeah.
evaporates. And then after that, slowly but surely, podcasts were calling me, and different media were calling me, and they were daisy chaining with each other to where all of a sudden it's like, holy smokes, somebody just did a flat Earth interview, and that just kept snowballing because Matt didn't want to do interviews. And so people said, hey, but they've seen Matt's stuff. It's like, hey, do you know how to get hold of Matt? It's like, yeah, I got his phone number. He's not going to talk to you. He doesn't, he's like Prince right now. It's like he comes on stage when he damn well good and ready, right? Which means never.
Yeah.
So So I was like, "Hey, do you want to ask me some flat Earth questions?" Yeah, sure. And so that's just how it happened. So sorry, it's kind of a long-winded answer, but
No,
that's
no, no,
that's
no,
how I
not
got
at
into it
all.
because I had it was the last thing, the last conspiracy that I had never looked at, and it
See, it's
turned out to be the best.
See, that's interesting for me to hear because Flat Earth was although I do believe in 2001, I can remember watching the towers kind of dropping. I can remember at that time. I did question that time. I can remember the pushback I received from my work colleagues. In fact, it was quite. It's the same type of thing if you question COVID these days. It was like it was quite visceral,
Right.
and but I don't think I moved on from it. And it wasn't. But Flat Earth for me was the key that opened every other conspiracy. It's
Right.
interesting to know. It's
Right.
interesting to know that you did the other way, but for me, it was the truth of all truths. It was the flat Earth was the reason for all these other psyops
Oh,
and all these other
absolutely.
conspiracies.
That there was a secondary effect which I hadn't anticipated was if you got into flat Earth, everything else became a possibility again. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I would tell people, it's like everything that you may have just kind of pushed off, it's like, no, no, that's back on the table now. And you should revisit everything that you ever discounted before, everything, because
100%.
flat Earth encompasses them all. So yeah,
All of it, all of it.
all of it.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to get the two documentaries. Though obviously not. A lot of people get confused with and mix them up. There was the obviously Behind the Curve
Right.
documentary.
Yep.
I'm just gonna put a picture of that up there. Yeah, Behind the Curve. I was just interested, and then there was the other one that what was his name? Paul Logan did. What was that? What's it
Oh,
called?
Logan
Uh,
Paul, that whole
to the
thing.
edge, to the edge and
Oh
back.
yeah,
That
that I didn't even
the
count
hit.
that. That was just a troll video. I mean, there
Yeah,
was a second documentary called Origins Untold, which was done by
yeah, yeah,
Fazook Films. And it's like, all right, that was fine. Logan Paul's thing. Well, luckily for us, that was done outside of the documentary. So the documentary
yeah,
was shot in 2017,
yeah.
most of it, and it ended because they shot during the 2017 conference, the very first conference that was done down in North
This
Carolina.
this is this is this is Behind the Curve we're
But
talking
yeah,
about.
Behind the
Yes.
Curve,
Yeah,
which was
yeah,
done
yeah,
in at the first conference, which was in
yeah.
North Carolina. Logan Paul's thing was during the very next year when we moved to Denver for the conference, and
Ah, okay.
he paid. Let's just get into a side thing.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
we'll
Total.
segue back and forth. Which he
Yeah,
paid Robbie Davidson, the conference promoter, thousands of dollars to look the other way so that he could prank the conference.
total hit piece. Yeah,
It
total
was a
hit
total hit
piece.
piece, and
Yeah.
unfortunately for our community, because Logan Paul's audience skews so young, there were very few people that knew who he was. And I like absorbing all media, so I knew exactly who he was because of that the thing that he did over in the Aoki Gahara
Yeah, and then in the
forest
forest.
in
In the
Japan.
forest.
And I
Yeah, yeah,
thought he would have
yeah.
been blacklisted from the internet, but people have the attention span of goldfish. So they it's like all they do is wait. And then he came back. He used us as the springboard to come back. We
Yeah.
were his comeback trail.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he came to the conference. I left because there was no way I was gonna. Once I found out it was once it was the thing was he not only paid Robbie to look the other way, he paid him to keep it a secret, so nobody knew who the celebrity was, and Robbie was selling tickets based off of mystery celebrity that was going to show up, and Robbie just let us run wild with the guesses
Yeah.
because he said, well, he's an actor and a singer, and we're thinking, holy smokes. It's like, if you're an actor and a singer, you're A-list, right? Who are we
A
talking about here?
singer. A
We,
singer.
yeah, exactly. Are we talking Will Smith? We talking Jack Black? Who are we
Yeah.
talking here? Are we talking Billy Bob Thornton? It's like who the hell are you bringing on? And Robbie, playing coy. It's like I'm not telling. And every time he said that, tickets, more tickets were selling. So then when Logan Paul shows up and he's not a singer or an actor, he's an internet troll. And Robbie was convinced, I don't know how, that he was going to do a legitimate piece, and of course it wasn't going to be. And then I walked out and I caught hell for 3 months until Logan released his thing, and then I was vindicated because it was an absolute crucifixion of Robbie
Yeah,
and the
it
conference.
was.
And
It
it's
was.
and
It
I
was.
love the fact that in the making of they mentioned Be My Name because they said, and that's why I did it. For those of you listening, they said, well, we pretty much we got everybody, and then his friend, well, except for that Mark Sargent guy, because they knew that I had left. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
left instantly. The morning I found out, it was like, oh no. And because it's like, look, you're going to give him a microphone. Oh, by the way, he's going on stage before you. It's like, the hell he is. It's like Joe Logan Paul's going to go on stage before me at a flat earth conference.
Yeah, it's
Ah,
total. It was just such a total hit piece. It was awful, you
it
know.
was awful.
We all
And
feel,
again, he's still around. That's the part that
yeah,
gets me. Here
yeah.
we are, 8 years later. He's still doing his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we all feel it when you feel like the community gets set back, like with something like that. And I feel like that's how it is right now with this whole the final experiment nonsense. That
Right.
it's already been. I can already see it being weaponized against us. And
It will be and it won't, but let me know when you want to dig deep on that if you got other things you want.
yeah, well, okay. Let's just quickly go back to. I want to know how behind the curve happened. Who approached who? Or what was the process leading up to that? To the
It
sorry, to
was
the
like many things in Hollywood, a complete accident. If you don't know, when it comes to the entertainment industry, I don't know what it's like over there where you are, but over here, 99% of all projects do not make it.
yeah, yeah. I think
The
it's the
people,
same. Yeah,
lots of people want to be filmmakers. Lots of people want to be musicians. I mean, you can treat it like the musician industry, honestly. I mean,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
so
yeah.
many, how many garage bands for every one that makes it, there are 10,000 that
Oh,
fail.
yeah. Of course. Yeah,
That's freaking not. I mean, there's timing, there's talent, who has what. There's so many things that have to be in sync, and most of the time they're not. So in this case, it was just a small film team out of Los Angeles that was just I mean, they had regular jobs. This was a side project for them. And they're like, just get stuff underneath your belt. A documentary is an easy, cheap way to do something. And so the director contacted me and said, "Hey, what do you think about, maybe doing this? And if we do this, can you line us up with other people?" And it's like, you know what? Sure. Again, the odds of this thing even doing anything are slim to none.
yeah,
So he flies up to Seattle and we meet over pizza. And we're just talking, and I'm just kind of rattling off, my stuff. He's like, "You know what? I like it already. Let's get the camera out of the car." And
yeah,
he starts shooting some of the opening scenes, and that's was like one of the first things we did was down at that beach. And
yeah, yeah,
there's no rehearsal or anything like that. We don't do takes. It's just let's do it. And we just started talking, and we shot some of our stuff, and then they start kind of mapping out how it's gonna. We'll have Mark at the Eclipse. We'll talk to Patricia. We'll talk to Nathan and Chris Pontius and Bob Nodell and Jaron and those
yeah.
guys. And then, the big climactic finish months later, we'll do the conference down in the Carolinas. And we shot it and it was great. And they hated us because they knew we were real. And
Yeah.
there was this point when we were at the conference, and I didn't even know because they did not talk to us a lot. They gave us some direction. Okay, we're going to shoot you, or sometimes they just put the mic on and be like, just go do something. We'll
Yeah.
we'll shoot you. And they at one point, what really bothered them was when at the end of that movie, when this 12-year-old kid went up to the microphone and was asking me questions that bothered them. There was a kid in there, and there was a number of
Yeah.
kids in this conference. And then they're like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, now, the old saying, it's like, it's fun and games until children are involved. It's like, because
Yeah.
we're now influencing future generations. It's like,
Yeah.
sorry, guys, just so you know, before this interview, I was talking to a whole classroom of high schoolers and then two classrooms before that. So thank you, because you know why I was talking to them? Because Behind the Curve is now required viewing in different academic institutions over here.
Wow.
It's on the
Actually,
syllabus. So,
wow.
and I've talked to everyone from middle schoolers up through grad students. Hell, I helped a girl in the freaking Sorbonne do her dissertation on this whole thing. Oh no, we're everywhere. So what's happening now, by the way, which we'll get to, there's a reason
Yeah.
for it. You're not stopping us. So,
Yeah. 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 I mean,
great. Well, sorry. Let me finish
no,
this really
no.
quick.
Yeah. Of course.
So we finished the documentary, and they're saying, and they had no faith in it whatsoever, which means it's like, well, we're not going to get any film festivals, and then we're never going to sell this thing. And so they started applying to film festivals. It was so unique. It got into again, you can go to behindthecurvefilm.com. You can look at the film festival list. It's all tracked there, the whole chronological order of things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
got into every film festival that we applied to the point where we weren't winning awards, but we were always in the top 10. And I'll give you the odds. It's like the Toronto Film Festival where we opened, right? And they flew us out for that one. Patricia and I both went.
Yeah.
And there were 3,000 films submitted to that film festival, 3,000, of which they could only pick 100 to show. And of those, we cracked the top 10.
Yeah.
And then out of those, it's like, well, maybe something's going to get bought. And it's like, okay, fine, we're getting a film festival. It's not going to get bought. It's like, oh no, Amazon picked us up immediately. iTunes picked it up immediately. Netflix dragged their feet for a while, but eventually they picked it up too. And then it ran the full contract on Netflix. I mean, it was in their rotation for years.
Is it not still there now? Is
I
it?
think you can still find it there. It's definitely on Amazon.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, someone will mention, depending on what country they're in, because Netflix is different in different
Right. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that they've seen it. Again, it's
No,
not. It's
actually, it is. No, actually, it is. I saw it. It is on Amazon. It's on Amazon. It
Yeah,
does right
yeah,
now. It is.
it's
Yeah.
still out there, and now it's quite a few years later, but it's amazing the traction that it got, and I show you how much they hated us. They never even thought about doing a sequel. They could do a sequel so easy to that thing, and they didn't want to touch it. It's like really because I've looked at your IMDb pages. You need it, and you don't want to do it. It's like okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And at that point, I feel like Flat Earth was just so big. It was just growing and growing and growing. It was huge at that moment, wasn't it?
Yep. Yep. We were monstrous. We could do no wrong. The summer of 2018 when they changed the scoreboard system,
Yeah.
where again, if you go out to YouTube, you don't understand how what the damage we were doing up there. Which was if you go to YouTube and you pick any sort of conspiracy and you see a wiki banner
Yeah.
underneath that video, I
Yeah.
don't care what topic is, that's us. Because we came out, the first wiki sticker that came out was for flat earth, and then they just started throwing out more wiki stickers. I've got the Senate hearing, the little thing on my channel
Yeah.
where they're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
head of YouTube, and you've got US politicians like, okay, what do we do here? Now granted, it was all fun and laughs. It's like, well, I mean, well, it's flat earth. What could they really do? But
Yeah.
again, then they tore down the scoreboard entirely to where when you go into YouTube, you guys don't remember years ago, you could type in any topic and it would say search results equals a number. And now it doesn't say anything. Search results
Yeah.
equals a number has disappeared. It's like, really, it's a search engine. And you're
Yeah.
pulling off the search results line? Yeah, because we kept looking at it and the numbers were staggering. We just kept
Yeah.
ramping up. I mean, we were bigger than just about everybody except the major pop stars. I mean, we were like just below. I mean, we passed by Lady Gaga, and it's like I think like Taylor Swift, maybe Katy Perry, maybe Justin Bieber. We were bigger than them, and I don't care how many subs you have. The search results, that's the big one. It's like you can have 100
Yeah.
million subs, but the search
Yeah.
results means how many people are talking about you in content,
Yeah.
videos
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
making about
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're destroying them.
Yeah, it was just trending so much at the time, and you're winning when they have to change an algorithm. So, and look, I mean, look at it now. If you type, as you know yourself, if you type flat Earth into Google or YouTube, you're just getting just page after
Oh
page
yeah.
after page after page after page of just nonsense, right?
Yep. Yep. And again, I understand it, but yeah, in the early years, and there's some wonderful videos out there when they finally track down the guy that writes the algorithm that wrote a French guy, I believe, that wrote the algorithms for, like what's recommended for you, and he was the one that found out what the staggering numbers were. And again, it was so flattering in that he, out of all the topics on YouTube, you can think about the thousands of topics there are, he brings up one, and he
Yeah,
says, well. He goes, if the average person that gets into flat Earth watches 20 videos in a row, what do you think we're going to recommend? Right? As we
yeah, yeah,
found our binge topic. YouTube is a
yeah,
television network. To make no mistake about it, it's the biggest television network in the world. Now, most of it's crap, but it's still a network, and they wanted a binge topic. So basically, anything that they see people are watching more of, they were
yeah,
feeding them. And then all of a sudden they realized, well, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't do that for some of these fringe things. And flat Earth was at the top of their list because there were
yeah,
scientists coming to them. It's like, look, you're promoting pro flat Earth videos a lot. And it's like, well, people want to see them. So that's when they had to ratchet it back. And, they
yeah,
simultaneously, you've seen, what happens with the search results now. And then they like
yeah.
demonetized it by like 75% immediately. And it showed, people were calling me up. It's like, dude, how much money are you making now? And it's like, not what I used to. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that they were having meetings in Congress about it, they were having like
yeah.
Senate committee meetings to talk about it and what they were going to do about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
that's,
what do we do with flat Earth? It's like again, you can pick any other conspiracy you want, but nothing generated the moves, the responses, the actions that they took like flat Earth did, and the speed at which they were doing them.
Yeah.
again, I get it. When I made that video that said when we just passed Donald Trump during his first term, and is I made the video called "Flat Earth has passed the president of the United States,"
Yeah.
and somebody took notice of that, which was like, okay, I mean, which true. Our metrics were blowing out everybody in the water, and I've got the records. They're all on my channel. You can watch the videos anytime you want.
Yeah. I mean, they had to do it, didn't they? They had to do it.
Yeah, yeah, they did. I know. And what
Uh,
they're doing now, which we'll get to,
I mean,
what
yeah. I mean, why not? Let's just get this. Just go to it because I feel like it's exactly the same, if not on a kind of a much bigger level. Let's first of all let's talk about the final. I don't even like giving it any
no, let's
airtime,
just call
but
it, well, let's abbreviate it. Let's call it TFE.
yeah, TFE. Let's call
TFE.
it that. Yeah, TFE.
I call it the TFE group now, which is
Yeah, TF. So how long before it happened were you even aware of it? Were you approached by anybody to for yourself to go down?
no, because you can't. I'm sorry, and this is a message to the TFA group. It's got to be frustrating because you can't even approach me because I am a crusader. I'm one of those guys that be like, look, I watch the movies, and when somebody dies for a good cause or a noble cause, I tear up. And it's like, oh, if it only could be me one day. So they can't touch me because I'm a purist. It's like, look, I can't be bribed, I can't be threatened. So what are you gonna do? I mean, I suppose you could try to discredit me. I don't know if anyone's gonna buy it. But
Yeah.
we have seen over the last 10 years. Here's the thing, and I've been beating on that drum for years, which was nobody flipped for Flat Earth from 10 years, right? And it was one of the points of pride. It was like there was like one channel in England, like Tiger Dan 925, who was trying to build his own map, and then his brain broke or something. But no one actually knew who the guy was. So we've seen people over the years. I mean, how many videos have been? It's like, oh, Flat Earth is dead. This will kill it for sure. Nail in the
Yeah.
coffin.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been hearing that since 2015, and we just kept rolling and rolling, and meetups and conferences. We just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then and then this channel comes out by pastor, and I use that term lightly because he never talks about God ever, which is weird. You'd think the guy would be quoting chapter and verse a lot, or at
Yeah.
least sometimes. I mean, Rob Skiba would slip in it all of the time. Even Robbie Davidson would slip into it and other channels, but not this
Yes.
guy. And he came up with saying something, called the final experiment, which is a bit ironic because they never did experiments. We were the only ones that did experiments. So it's like, okay, this would be TFE would actually for me stand for the first experiment, but whatever. And and it's like, okay, no one was really going for it. It's like, okay, fine, fine. But it seemed once they started talking about free trips to Antarctica, because the whole experiment, for those of you who are completely in the dark about what we're talking about here, it's like, okay, we're gonna go down to Antarctica to prove the Antarctic sun, the 24-hour sun, which I have talked about for years. Years. Which is like, okay, people every one in every 10 interviews would say, hey, what's the weakest part of the flat Earth model? Like, oh, well, probably the Antarctic sun, only because, you'd have to have more than one light source or something that has to do with the light source, but it doesn't matter because one, nobody goes there, and two, we don't know what's going on with the sky anyway, even if you
Yeah.
did see it. So I never lost a wink of sleep.
Yeah.
Years went by. And so it's like they're going down there to do this. And it's like, and I've said on air a number of times, oh, wow, that's a waste of money. And we're talking about a lot of money here.
Yeah.
This is the most expensive place to go in the world, for a single ticket. We're talking 35 grand a head. That's a lot. I have never taken a trip where it was 35 grand basically for
Yeah.
travel expenses, right? We're
Yeah.
not talking
Yeah.
about hotels because there are no hotels, right? You're sleeping
Yeah.
on a tent on the ice, and people were he eventually had hyped it up. He was like, oh, a dozen globalists are going to go, and he's trying to make it like a scoreboard. So many globalists were going to go and so many flat earthers are going to go, but we couldn't get nobody in the flat earth community really wanted to go. And then finally he nailed down Jaron and Austin, and Jaron Campanella, Austin Whitsitt, and Lisbeth Acosta.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, fine. And most people didn't want him to go for various reasons. Various reasons. One, it's like, okay, you may not come back because they may crash the plane. Remember, we're talking about the truther community, so everybody had their suspicions about everything, right?
Yeah.
And then the thoughts were, okay, what happens if you do see the 24-hour sun? And I've said many, many times when it comes to the flat Earth community, almost the bulk of the community gets in from long distance photography. That's just how they get in. They're very visual. Hell,
Yep.
I didn't even get in because of long distance photography. I never even suggested it in the clues, but that's where people were messaging me right away. It's like, dude, I just went down to the beach and shot a lighthouse. It's like, so what? And they go, well, the water lays flat. And I mean, I had to learn, I was learning through people that were contacting me.
Yeah, yeah.
So nobody gets into flat Earth because of the sun. Any sun, yes, I know some one person emailed me. It's like, I got in because of the sun. It's like, okay, fine. It wasn't the Antarctic sun, so go away.
Yeah.
So eventually we settled down to they were going to do three people on their side and five people on the globalist side because apparently they had a minimum to do the price break. They had to be like eight people or something like that, but it was still going to be a pricey number. And they ended up taking Will Duffy, of course, was going to go, and MC Toon, which if he isn't an agent, I at the end of this I'll be stunned. And
Oh my God,
I
that's
mean,
yeah.
I don't know if he works for a think tank, a private scientist think tank, or something else, but man, and I have so many people have come to me that have said, oh my God, he has got to be an agent. I don't know the hierarchy. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know who gives the
100%.
marching orders. I would
Yeah.
guess the MC Tune is over Will Duffy, but it doesn't really matter. And then they're taking Candace Owens' producer, Mark, I can't remember his name, and then last minute replacement guy named Jonathan, who was a filmmaker. There was a friend of the producer of Candace Owens, and I'm
Yeah.
missing one, aren't I? There's one, two, three. That's one, two, three, four. Hold on, MC2. That's four, five, six, seven. Who's the eighth person that I'm missing? Oh,
Um,
Dave McKeegan from
yeah.
your neck of the
Oh,
woods. Yeah, Dave
right.
McKeegan.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
another reaction channel, which is a whole nother thing, by the way. If you want, wonder how things are skewed, we make content for years, then reaction channels come because that's all they are, right?
Yeah.
Simon Dad and,
100%.
and Professor
Yeah.
Dave and McKeegan and the others. Like they're reacting to our content. No different than a music reaction channel or a movie reaction channel. But if you do a reaction channel against flat Earth, oh, good Lord, your sub count. Sweet. You're going to do, hey,
Oh,
look, you're going to get verified. Oh, hey, look, you're going to get sponsors. Monetization, no problem. We got you covered. It's like, wow, that's great. Find me a freaking checkbox next to anybody in the flat Earth. Find me someone that's still monetized to any sort of degree.
yeah. You can see the pattern. You can see that it's open. You can see openly see the pattern
Yeah,
with regards to that, can't you?
yeah, yeah. So anyway, so they go down. I'm guessing. By the way, please break in if you want, if there's anything you want clarified. I'm trying to
Yeah.
work the timeline.
Well, just even hearing what they called it, right? Just on the initial hearing that,
Right.
it just that spider sense goes straight off. Like, why would you, just the name of it?
It,
And I must say, from my point of view, it just seemed from like a trap from the get go.
I didn't see it as much of a trap because I've seen channel click chasers over the years do different things for sensationalism. I mean, I'm in
Yeah,
parts of the internet a lot that aren't tied to flat Earth. So I've seen this. It's like, look, I understand the patterns of social media. I understand there's only so much audience out there, and you do what you can to generate clicks. So the final experiment and Will Duffy treating it like a three-ring circus, only with a much, well, I thought initially was a lower budget. Not the case. Um, and then they're going to go on the trip, but before that, let me preface it with something which was interesting. Before that, there was a part that kind of bugged me. It wasn't a spidey sense thing. I give people the benefit of the doubt, but it was when Jaron had said at one point during a live stream, after he was already confirmed to go, but the trip hadn't happened yet, where he just threw out this what seemed like an off the cuff remark. It's like, well, if I get down there, I see the 24-hour sun, I may have to revisit everything I think about the AE map. And it's like, "Whoa, okay." And the chat room just like, what are you talking about, man? You haven't even gone yet. What the hell is this sort of language? And I'm thinking, and I said it on air. You can see it. It's like, he misspoke, right? He's not the most articulate person in the world. So, and he doesn't think quick on his feet. So it's like, okay, fine. I'll give him that one. It's probably fine. So the trip happens, right? They go down there and they ended up again, the last minute replacement was Jonathan over this other globe
yeah,
guy.
yeah,
And Jonathan swears that he's one of ours. I looked at his channel. It's like, I got no indication that you're one of ours. But he's told people he's one of ours. Austin seems to be on his side. Lisbeth seems to, it's like, all right, fine. I'll give you guys the benefit of the doubt. As my fathers always say, um, until it's happened, it hasn't. Right? That's my father's big on
Yeah,
that. Now,
yeah,
granted, he
yeah,
was
yeah.
talking about people using their blinkers when they're driving and then like making a turn. And it's like, why aren't you pulling out? And I go, his blinkers on. It's like, yeah, but he hasn't gone yet. He hasn't slowed down yet.
Yeah,
His
yeah, yeah,
blinker
yeah,
just may be on. He goes, learn that. And it's true. It saved my life. So they go down there and it is a long, brutal trip. And I am so, and yes, I was asked along with other people. And it's like, no, I mean, one, I lived in Colorado for 20 years. I did not ski. I do not like the whole ice snow thing.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
me too. Me
it's
too.
like I understand there's skiers do it for the thrill, but it's like it's not the trade-off just isn't enough for me. It's like I mean there's a chance you run into a tree or something, but it's ice and snow. And when they got down there and they were live streaming, it's like, oh, it's even worse than I thought. It's awful. Plus, the travel time is awful. They're not sleeping. They're running on freaking fumes by the time they get there. And then, of course, Jaron makes the statement to Will Duffy's live camera. It's like, oh yeah, I saw the 21st Sun. I don't know what to think, and he's wavering all over the place. And he was immediately convicted by all his people immediately. And I got that. It's like, look, people don't want him to say. It's like, well, it's the truth. I saw it. It's like, some people didn't want him to see it. Didn't matter. 24-hour sun meant no, still doesn't mean anything to me because we don't
Yeah,
know what's going on in the sky. I've
yeah,
always said since day one, it's projection that, we don't know the light sources because we're not up there. Ground stuff,
yeah.
oh, we're pretty good about the stuff on the ground.
Yeah. I've
Sky,
heard, listen, over the years, and again, you were the first person I came across, but I listened, there was many, many kind of night shifts that I would listen to all of Jaron's stuff. And he was kind of the second person I came across. Even himself, he'd said so many times that I've heard him say that lights in the sky have no relevance when we're talking about the alleged, like, if it's a sphere or not, or the ground beneath your feet, right? It's
uh,
lights in the sky. Let's talk about the actual ground we're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so because of that, he was doomed in the court of public opinion before he even got back on the plane heading back. Unfortunately, though, Whitsitt and I mean Lisbeth, God bless that woman. She absolutely got off scot freaking free. She just kept her head down. And it's like, oh no, no, I'm just going under the radar, and she's gonna go back.
Yeah.
She wasn't saying
Yeah.
anything to anybody. Good for her.
Yeah.
Austin, though, unfortunately, because he was live streaming and because Jaron had already made his errors, Austin was a direct accomplice. So Austin's already convicted as well, right? He might as well, it's like, oh no, we're burning you too. It's like, what are you
But
talking? He hasn't done anything yet.
but he didn't help himself with the whole vape gate. But
Okay, okay. Again, I never had a problem with that. Look, I know how people are weird about public image. He's got a wife, he's got kids. If his
yeah.
wife get, and I don't know anything along those lines, but yeah, I had a feeling it's like, look, if his wife didn't said what's like, if I ever catch you vaping again, you're a dead man. Then you do anything to get out of that. Hell hath no fury, right? So he yes, did he probably lie about the vape? Maybe, but I don't care. It had
Yeah.
nothing to do, one thing didn't have to do with the other. Unfortunately, because he was there, if you lied about that, then what else are you lying
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people were just jumping on him. I never did. It's like I was like, no, Austin's fine. He's groovy. Don't worry about him. Lisbeth is currently my new co-host on Strange World,
Yeah.
which we'll
Yeah.
get to.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. Jaron, however, took a different path, and I'm going to use a quote from Lisbeth because she hasn't said it on here yet, but I'm going to mention it. When they were flying back, Jaron said an interesting thing. Jaron's got a weakness for attractive people. He does. He always has. He's a freaking hound, and he mentioned to her at an airport, on their way back, he's like, just so you know, I'm going to be going a different direction from you when I get back. When it comes and he was talking metaphorically, meaning what happens when he gets and he goes, "Don't hate me for that." It's like, okay, it's like, really, you want to impress the pretty girl just because you're going to do something bad? What are you going to do bad when you get back? Well, we'll get to that.
Wow. But by the way, could any of us envisage envisions what would happen, what's happened in the subsequent weeks.
Well,
Like the
yes.
journey.
Okay, here's the thing.
Wow.
Here's the thing. I was never surprised because it has been a running joke in the inner circles for years. Well, it
Right.
was like you get after we do after shows, we do private chats, stuff that was never recorded. We always kind of joke. It's like, okay, because we know the tactics, we know what could happen. It's like, okay, who's gonna sell out, right? Who's gonna
Yeah.
do it? Who's it
Yeah.
gonna be? Does anybody got bets? It's a fun topic to think about. It's like, dude, it's like, what would it take? Right? That was also the joke. What would it take for you to sell out? And who's the likely candidates, right? To do that. And it's like, look, people that are more money oriented, monetarily based, they're gonna go for it. And I don't and look, I want to make something perfectly clear here. I have no beef with Robbie or Patricia or Jaron or Paul in the plane. Those are the big four here. I don't
Yeah.
have any beef with them at all. Why? Because one, I've spent time with all of them for God's sakes. I did the conferences with Robbie. I've done the conferences with Paul on the plane. Tricia and I done all sorts of things.
Well, sorry, but can I just stop you there because
Yeah.
I'm aware of Jaron, I'm aware of Patricia, I'm aware of Robbie, but Paul on the plane.
Oh, see,
Um,
I didn't know you knew him. So yeah, Paul. Yeah, Paul on the
wow.
plane. Yeah,
Well, is
and
he's changed his
oh, absolutely. No,
position?
he is team TFE right now. Absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, he is. And which we'll
Wow.
get to again. All of
Yeah.
the and those the and some of them all flipped, like dominoes. And it's like, okay, how? Well, we'll get to that. So I don't have any beef with any of them. I liked all these people and I understand the concept. Look, at the end of the day, for a lot of people, it's an old American saying, it's all about the rent, right? We
Yeah.
all have bills to pay, and does Flat Earth take precedent over your daily responsibilities and your daily obligations. For some people, yes. For some people, no. There is
Yeah.
a price for everything. We all know it. Anybody can be bought. I'll use the rock concert thing that I've been using because it makes sense to a lot of people. It's simple, which is you're standing in line for a concert. I don't care what band it is. You're always going to have somebody that's walking up the line saying, hey, you want to sell
Yeah.
your ticket? Hey, you want to sell your ticket? Everybody knows this. I've been in lines when it happened. And all of a sudden, you run into a group of people, and some guy's like, yeah, man, how much you paying? $1,000. And it's like, yeah, man, sorry, I'm selling my ticket. So he sells the
Yeah.
ticket.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you've
Yeah.
been waiting for this concert for like 4 months. Like, man,
Yeah.
I need the bread, man.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
give me,
Yeah.
it's like, look, I got some stuff I need to buy, right? And that guy is gone. And the next thing you know, you're standing in line with a perfect stranger that has your ticket. Remember, because you also get in
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
And this happens all the time. It's not, is it an ethical quandary? Yes, but it is not completely outside the realm of possibility. Like it happens with juries and judges and sports people, every business you can think of. Come
Every
on,
yeah.
greasing the wheels, greasing the palms. Who's been paid? It happens. I mean, God, for God's sakes, watch the movie Casino with Robert De Niro and Sharon
Great
Stone,
movie. Great
and
movie.
where the money is changing hands constantly in that movie, and it's all about greasing the palms to get things done. So where was I going with this? So anyway, so Jared comes back. Okay, let's get into the formal timeline here. So
Yeah.
that being said, that's my preface. I don't hate anybody. You guys can hate them all you want. It's like, look, I understand it, and I have to be objective when it comes to this. It's like, look, I know how the world works. A lot of it, not everything, but a lot of it.
Yeah.
So, when you get older, you figure out how society, functions. I
Yeah.
mean, and then that's what we're talking about here. So we get back. Starts acting a little squirrely. He starts playing it smart. I will say this, Jaron. The first part was brilliant, which was it's in stages, and he's going down a slope, but it's not slippery. He's you can tell though. He's
Yeah.
not in a great state. People say, oh, he's conflicted. Oh, the emotional thing. And even I said, yeah, he bet all his chips on the sun and he lost. And now, granted, he did bet a lot of his chips on the sun, but did I really believe it did that much emotional damage? Maybe because I was waiting.
Yeah.
So then let's fast forward to the events that took place, all the stuff that happened. So if I'm not mistaken, I got to pull up my calendar now because it's been a couple weeks. So it was the week of the 18th because we had
Yeah.
my 500th episode on the 18th. the big 500 weeks of Strange World, everything was
Yep.
fine. I had Patricia and Karen B and Stephen Carpenter, the Deftones,
Yep.
and DJ. It was great episode. And that weekend, which it would have been on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, Saturday the 22nd. Robbie posted, a headstone. You've seen it, right? Where
Yep.
out
Yep.
of a clear blue sky, Robbie Davidson, who from Channel Celebrate Truth, just drops a headstone on social media that says Flat Earth on it and says, "I've come into new information. I'm acting with integrity. Blah blah blah. I've not been coerced or compromised in any way. So on and so on." You guys can read it for yourself. I'm not going to read it out completely for a good reason.
Yep.
So and just stunned the Christian community. They were just blown out of the water. And the flat earth community. Remember, this was a twofer, which is why I was kind of upset. Out of all the people, I'm upset for Robbie. It's like, Robbie, you have an obligation to the Christian community, and you just hit him with a shovel in the face for
Yeah.
no,
Just
again, out of the
just like
blue.
that.
No
Yeah.
foreshadowing,
Nope.
no precursor. It's like, oh no, dead. It's like, what the hell? I mean, I had people messaging me all over the place and they were stunned. However, I wasn't. Why? Because I knew this before it happened. And I wasn't going to say anything because as my dad said, until it's happened, it hasn't. So I'm not gonna get in front of this. I'm just
No.
going to be ready. So I'm sitting there going, okay. Now, what was interesting about that, more than that, was when I was reading the headstone, it's like, I know these words. I know them very well because I had received them a full day earlier from Patricia Steer, who had emailed me saying those very things, including a lot more in an email.
Verbatim. Was it verbatim?
Verbatim,
Yeah.
just yeah, taken, cut and paste sections from
Wow.
the email. I will send
Wow.
you. In fact, I will send you after I'm done with this the actual email from her. In fact, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
please do.
I'm a little surprised you don't have it yet because it's circulated around a little bit.
I've
So,
not.
but I'll definitely shoot it to you. So, and it's like, okay. And that didn't surprise me, by the way. The Patricia had, after episode 500, only a few days later, it was like, so Jaren's right about everything. Antarctica proves this. I'm off the show. I'm out of Flat Earth and I'm done forever. Goodbye. Vapor trail. It's like,
Now you no 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 you've been very close with Patricia for many years now.
uh,
And there was no forewarning, there was
no
no
forewarning, no
anything.
foreshadowing. Well, yes and no, but we'll get to that. So anyway, she was a vapor trail and I'd also known ahead of time. And it's like, and I didn't post it to on social media. I didn't read it out loud. Because she told me to in the letter, which you'll read. It's like, I think it'd be a great idea if you read this on air. It's like, what?
Wow.
Why? You're not exactly up, you're not your usual is like transparency thing. It's okay. 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 So here's the thing. Before that, a day before that, I had gotten word from an insider, that this was going to happen exactly the way it was going to happen. And it led back to Jaren because Jaren was the one that leaked it. That Jaren was bragging the fact that he had turned them and this was going to happen. It's like, okay, one, what's happening here, right? Okay, first you have to build the alliance. And again, this is all speculation, of course. I can't prove this in a court of law, and I know the community as at large is still in this massive state of denial, which is fine. I was
Yeah.
that way 2 months ago when
Yeah.
Jaren got back from the trip. I was totally with you, but the second my co-host burns rubber and leaves without so much as a phone call, oh no, 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 no. No, we're in a different place. So the fact that Robbie used cut and paste from Patricia's letter meant that Patricia and Robbie were working together. And the
Yeah.
fact that Jaren knew about the two of them beforehand meant that the three of them were working together. And then Paul
Wow.
on the plane, who was tied to them in a way which I had to be reminded of because I don't get into crypto. Yeah, crypto's never been my thing, but
Yeah.
Robbie and
Yeah.
Patricia and Paul were involved in the same crypto group that got burned. They went to the freaking ground and they lost a bundle. Coincidence? Oh, probably. It doesn't mean anything, does it? The fact that they all
Hmm.
got hit with a whole bunch of, I was a little disappointed
financial.
that
Yeah.
Patricia invested in crypto. But it's like, come on, what were you thinking? Crypto's a horrible thing, by the way. I'm sorry. Look, I know I'm old enough. I was there when crypto was born. I know what it came out of. I remember Silk Road. I had friends that showed me what Silk Road was. Silk Road was destroyed by Interpol. It was organized crime. That's why
Yeah.
crypto even was invented, and it survived. No different than when Napster created the MP3. Napster was destroyed, and MP3 survived. Crypto survived after Silk Road. Anyway,
Yeah.
so now all this is happening really quickly. And by the way, oh God, I'm going to be jumping around a little bit here
No worries. No problem.
because the Paul and the plane thing is okay. Let's do motivation really quick. Robbie had a beef with the community, which was he was benched from Flat Earth after he had
Yeah.
done
Logan
some.
Paul. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, not just Logan Paul. I mean, we could go back to the 2017 conference when he had Howard Stern's team come out. Now, Howard Stern's team, known for pranking a few things, but I was at that conference and it was such a freaking zoo. They didn't have time to do it. Everyone was just walking around. It's like, what's happening? It's like this is a real thing. People couldn't even come up with a prank because it was so new. In
Yeah.
2018, he took the money from Logan Paul and to look the other way and let him do the stuff. And then in 2019, he let Jimmy Kimmel from The Late Show come to Dallas. And we have all the footage on that. We know full well that he knew and he set it up because anything for ratings, right? That's just one of his things. He's a big believer, and I understand the logic, which is it doesn't matter where the ratings come from, even if it sacrifices the integrity of the conference. There's a weird balance there, which
Yeah.
is we don't
Yeah.
want a network television show to prank our conference, but at the same time, they did run an 8-minute skit on the Flat Earth Conference in Dallas. The metrics from that alone, my opinion, were probably worth it. However, you probably should have told a few more people because in the end, it made you look bad. He was
Yeah.
he he was the gatekeeper for that. He was the one that was keeping the secret. It didn't look good. So after Dallas, well, that was two strikes. No one even remembered about Howard Stern, so who cares? And people were like, that's it. You're not doing any more conferences. Coincidentally enough, because that was in 2019. 2020, we're not doing conferences because
Yeah.
the pandemic. So Karen B took over and she was doing East Coast conferences. God bless you, Karen B. And she just kept cranking them out and cranking them out, and I went to most of those and it was fantastic. Okay, so that's Robbie's beef motivation. Patricia's motivation, a little more delicate, but you guys know the story by now, which is, she was dating and engaged to Antonio Subarats over in
Yep.
the UK. That did not go well, to say the least. It was bad. He did one of the worst things in breakup history, which was instead of calling her frigid or a lesbian, he called her a man.
Oh,
But
it's
Trish and I know each other quite well. I can tell you, she was absolutely not a man. She's been gorgeous and perfect ever since she was 13 years old. And so when a woman like that gets called a man, she's going to take it harder than most.
especially in 'cause, in modern times. We've all got these friends who say every single person in Hollywood's a invert. Every woman in
Yeah,
Hollywood's
of course.
a
Yeah, it was
yeah.
bad. She didn't want to be lumped into that.
No,
And look,
definitely
she's
not.
she's freaking gorgeous. I mean, she's over 60 now, and she still puts people half her age, hell, a third of her age, to shame. And so when that happened, and the worst part, of course, was it got traction. Because Antonio's like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
he got 15,000 hits off that video. You think he's gonna stop making those? Hell no. He's gonna keep going, even though people are like, dude, weren't you engaged to her?
Yeah,
Flash
yeah,
him? It's like, how does that work? And he's like, I don't care. I'm making videos. And then he dies, from throat cancer. And personally, I think that was just karma swinging back around. It's like, dude, you should have never have done it. I don't know where you are right now, but you learned your lesson. So Patricia had beef, no question. Um, Paul in the plane was out. He doesn't even have a YouTube channel anymore. He was out completely. And again, he was looking for the side hustle, and I'm sure the crypto thing didn't thrill him a much. But he had been out for years. He focused on his family. I hadn't heard from this guy in a while, and then all of a sudden, it's like, wait, he's back in social media now. Not only back in, but he's back in with, it's like, oh no, it's a globalist, and I'm with Robbie and Patricia and Jaron. It's like, okay, so you're forming a team, which we'll get to. So all of this happens in a very, very short amount of time. I'm going to give Patricia the benefit of the doubt that when she decided to buy her dream car just before she left Flat Earth Forever, that her dream car, I would have hoped that it was less than 100,000. I know that it wasn't. It was a ridiculous Mercedes that cost half as much as her house. And it's like, okay, sure. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt there. It's like, that's just coincidence. I know you have more money than a lot of the people in Flat Earth, but it was not a good look. And if
Yeah.
it was me, I'm just saying, because I know she's probably going to listen to this, that I wouldn't have posted it on Instagram with a giant red bow on it. I just wouldn't have done it.
No, it doesn't look good, does
It
it?
doesn't look
It
good.
doesn't
I
look
mean,
good.
you're talking about people that convicted you of other things. You think they're going to ignore that? No, of course not. I mean, now you could have done it deliberately, right? And that is because here's the other thing that kind of bothered me. Let's go backwards a little bit more here.
Yeah.
I didn't Patricia leaving the show was a blindside to me in the fact it's like, oh, this is the way she did it. However, beforehand, I gotta tell you, she was working me pretty good, meaning she was she was, even though Jaron was already going down that road, in fact, Jaron had just made, here's the part that Jaron's lost. He's absolutely, in my opinion, I'm going
Oh,
to say this, he's absolutely 100% put it in a certificate you can frame, but
oh,
he is
he's
so gone. I don't care
oh,
what they used more, the carrot or the stick or both.
oh,
And the
he's
reason
yeah,
I know this is he switched over from Antarctica proves the globe to everything about NASA and SpaceX is completely legit in a blink. And it's like, and you got to remember that I'm old OG, right? I go back to the days. It's like, what are you talking about? Jaron wrote the book on how to trash NASA more than
yeah,
Joe Rogan. I mean, he specialized in trashing space programs. That's what he did for
yeah,
a decade. And you're telling me without even a or a maybe or I don't know or possibly, it's like, oh no, this SpaceX launch proves the globe. It's like, okay, man. Okay, again,
no,
whoever's
sorry, Mark, we're talking thousands and thousands of hours of content,
thousands,
directly thousands
thousands of hours.
over years talking about NASA specifically,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And again, which is why it's the big feather in their cap, which is why they are going to milk him for everything that he's worth. Again, I'm going to point at Duffy and MC Toon, but I don't know the hierarchy. Whoever's behind it, and we're talking about money here because if you have the ability to throw down, we'll round up $300,000 on an Antarctic trip, which proved nothing, then you have more money to burn on other things, which
yeah,
we're working on here.
yeah,
So okay. So again, Patricia was really focused on me watching that Jaren video. Really focused, meaning she's using words I've never heard before. You need to look into it, period. It's important, period. And it's like, Patricia and I have talked, I lost count of how many hours and stuff and texts and all this stuff. She's never used that sort of language. It was out of character. And it bugged me because it's like, what are you talking about? It's a 75-minute video and Jaren's already flipped. Why the hell would I want to watch it in the first place? Right?
hmm
It's almost like there was a referral fee going down where it's like, not only because it's not that the people are being flipped, they are flipped and they're immediately recruiting. It's like,
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
it's like, oh, but kind of like a pyramid scheme, right? It's like, not only will you going to pay, but if you get this channel or this channel or this channel, you can make some stuff. So, I thought about this all the way up. And again, Patricia, if you're listening, the 500th episode, she was flawless. By the way, if you're wondering about the timeline, that means she did the 500th episode. She was already turned, and she was perfect during that episode. Her acting ability during episode 500 was perfect. I had
yeah,
not no point during that did I have a doubt. And this is kind of important because what she didn't know is because of that conversation, because she had been pushing me that on that, and we actually had a conversation. It was one of the only terse conversations we'd had in years about this. It's like, where the hell is this coming from? Like, I couldn't disagree with you more. What the hell, right? To
yeah,
where during episode 500, even though I was having a lot of fun during episode 500, I had my finger on the disconnect switch on her at all times because I was waiting for her at some point to slip in that, oh, hey, maybe everyone should watch that Jaren SpaceX video. If she would have done that, it would have been over. I would have been like, oh, we seem to have lost Patricia. We'll try to get her back after the break. and she wouldn't have come back.
Yeah.
And then we would have had it out. But that was in my mind. So by the time, yeah, so when she finally, turned into a vapor trail, I was surprised, but only in the method, not in the motivation, because at that point now I'm like working stuff back in my head. I'm going, wait a minute, because people start asking me, it's like, when did she come back? You remember she was gone for 3 years, and
Yeah,
then
she was. Yeah.
then she came back out of the blue. And so I hate to say it, again, speculation, and this is for DJ because I know he might be listening. It's like, look, this is speculation, but you've heard me say it. It's like I think this goes back to to the summer of last year, that's when they were working. I think work with me here. I think she had to come back to get out, meaning she
Yeah.
wasn't relevant, but she had to become part of the community again
Yeah.
because otherwise no one would even know she left, right? Then
Yeah.
she'd be
Yeah.
another Paul on the plane because there are some people's like, who the hell's Paul on the plane, right? But they weren't willing to do that with him. It's like, it's going to take too long. We're on a timetable here because we need to knock out channels. We need to take care of whoever we want. So then, of course, Jaren responds. I lay quite a bit of this out during episode 501, which was last week. The episode's tomorrow. Forgot what day of the week it was again. Um, we are not. I am not going to be talking drama. I will be talking drama during the interviews. So lucky you, you get to do this. But during Strange
Yeah.
World, we are going to try to stay above it. This
Yeah.
one though, because again, I'm staying above it because of DJ and Lee's Beth.
Of
Uh,
course.
it's like we got to stay ahead of this because I think the bleeding is pretty much ended. They've got all the low hanging fruit they're going to get.
Yeah.
Um, and there were other channels. It's like it wasn't just these four, just so you guys know. And Will Duffy took some pride. Okay, let's throw one more wrinkle in when he did a debate with Nathan Thompson after that, right, which was not that
Yeah.
long ago.
Yeah.
And the
Watched
first
it.
the first part was just a propaganda. It's basically just TFE propaganda. That's all it was. And he opened up, it's like, the mass exodus that's happening, from Flat Earth. And he started listing off channels, right? Which is interesting. He listed off what, dozen channels, give or take. Most of them were smaller, which was fine. But you know what caught my eye about that one? Do you know what he did? Who he didn't mention during that little list?
No,
He didn't mention Patricia Steer.
he didn't, did he?
Oh, and I had to listen to it a couple times. It's like that's odd because she would have been high profile. In fact, I would have mentioned her before Robbie Davidson, and he
Yeah.
knew because Jaron knew. So, and he's been batting 1,000. Will Duffy has been anyone he lists so far has been freaking turned. And of course, you could use that to your advantage. You can come out and say, "Oh, Mark Sargent's been turned," and of course, and no one's going to believe it. But Will Duffy has, he did not mention her, and I'm still scratching my head on that one because it's like, okay, why can't he out her? Why wouldn't he out her then when my show was already was done? I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, at that point, somebody says, "Well, hell, is Patricia like Kaiser Soze? Is she like above this? Was she in the hierarchy somewhere?" And then people are saying, was she always, going way back? And sorry, let me. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I want to get some things off
No,
my
that's fine.
chest,
That's fine. It's all good.
which is people ask me, and I want to be really clear about this. They said, "Well, does that mean that anybody was turned all the way back? They were compromised since the beginning." And for the most part, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say nobody ever showed me any of that. Look, I spent time with everybody. Jaron was recent. Jaron did amazing work for 10 years, and then all of a sudden, he flipped.
Yeah,
Um,
I never bought. Listen, I never bought into like he's been a plant from day one. I
no,
didn't buy
no,
it. No, no.
no.
That's
I
a.
mean, hell,
That,
I was accused for 10 years,
yeah,
but no
you
one
were.
can make
Yeah,
up their mind on exactly why. They would
yeah.
always say, well, he's a producer, he's this, he's that. It's like you got to pick one. You just can't pick all of them.
Yeah.
I can't be a Hollywood producer and an agent. Well, I
He's
suppose I could, but
he's controlled
yeah,
opposition.
I'm controlled opposition, whatever. It's silly. But I didn't even really have any doubts with Patricia. And if she was, my God, that woman's brilliant. If she was compromised always in the beginning, then I never gave her nearly enough credit.
Yeah,
Never gave her enough credit. Um, but do I think they had her in the summer of this year? Yes, I do. I think after the crypto thing, because I don't believe in coincidences. I think through her, they got Robbie Davidson and they got Paul on the plane because it was easy. I mean, Patricia could go to him and is like, look, you want to make back your crypto losses? I got a way. Paul, you're out. Robbie, you're out. I'm out. The three of them were all out, by the way. Coincidence, the all three were out of the community, and all of a sudden Patricia comes back in with a vengeance. I mean, after 3 years, she calls me and it's like, hey, first line, hey, you want to get the band back together? That's her first line. And I'm
Yeah.
going, and it's like within what hours after Karen had left, that thing started spinning up. So she got back in and she got back out. So Jaren responds, of course, to my episode 501, which was, that he was, Mark, he's never said a bad thing about it. He has never said a disparaging word about me in his life. And now I'm the worst liar ever. And he's always hated me. And I'm terrible. And David Weiss, of course, you saw the thumbnail. David Weiss is the devil on my shoulder. And he was even throwing DJ and Lise Beth under the bus. They're trying to do anything they
And
can.
yeah, and conspiracy music guru
Oh,
calling him
Santos
dirtbag of
Bonacci.
the week. Dirtbag of the week. He was
Yeah,
calling
dirtbag
him.
of the week. Again, and I can't get mad. They're personal attacks, but I'm not going to get mad at Jaron because he has to read a script. Here's the thing you guys don't know about being, there are strings attached to this buyout, this money, big strings, and that is,
Yeah.
and it seems innocent at the time. It's like we can call on you whenever we want to do, and you have to basically do what we tell you, you know. And it doesn't, we will even help you write the script if you don't feel like you're up to, doing whatever, and we'll
Yeah.
go through different people. And I don't even know if there's a time limit to this. So the moves he's making now, I mean, attacking everybody, doing personal attacks, that was obvious. And then we do the round table, because of all this. It's like, okay, now we do a round table, and that was more of everybody circling the wagons, finding
Yeah.
out who's who, right? And
Yeah.
kind of, but they want to stay above it, which is good. Everyone's in that. It's like maybe it's not that bad. That people are again willing to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. It's like, okay, you can, but I would think after today or last 48 hours that has changed.
Yeah.
So everyone did that, and then what was it, 2 nights ago that Jaron did the or it wasn't last night, was it? Where he did the we must kill David Weiss must destroy the app. You must shut down your app. By the way, that
Wow.
is I know I give David crap every once in a while because his ego is getting up there, but come on, he is the number one target right now,
Yeah.
which is because it's twofold. He does a lot of interviews. He does more interviews than I do, and
I
he
don't know. I don't know anybody who does as many. And he is like,
oh, it's
how
wonderful,
many?
and I'm so
Yeah.
glad because he does interviews. Mine are soft. I do soft interviews. Let's face it. I mean, I don't get the hard interviews like he does because he solicits he solicits them.
Yeah. Of course.
And
Yeah.
so when you go after the wrong person, you just like, oh, I want to talk to a flat earther, all right. And then he starts hammering on. But Dave's good, best off defense is a good offense. He does well with them. But the other part is the app. They want that app gone.
Yeah.
And because it is not going away, is done wonderfully, for an app. I mean, considering it's a small startup, I mean, hell, what if somebody buys this thing out eventually? Buys out the app. Now, you got to be careful there because whoever buys it may destroy it. But
Yeah.
whatever. That's a whole other thing. So Jaron releases this video just recently saying, the app the app is breached. It's got data leaks. Blah blah blah. It's like, well, yeah, MC Toon hired a team to go after it 5 months ago, and he wants it. MC Toon wants it gone. Wow, that's a little above and beyond trolls, don't you think? To have a
Yeah.
troll actually hire a hacker team to scrape data. And by the way, no software. Like I come from the software industry, no software is bulletproof. None. It doesn't exist. You will find out. I get messages from vendors in my email all the time. I was like, yeah, just so you know, we're looking into a data scrape.
Yeah.
It's fine. It was 5 months ago. It's like I don't know anyone that's lost anything. I don't know any identity theft that's happened in the last 5 months, but apparently they're bringing it up now. They're going on the offensive, the severe offensive. They're pulling the gloves off, which is fine. Again, flattering that they're going to take the direct approach. They can't outgun us when it comes to information, because we're so broad and we're throwing so much stuff on so many platforms. They can't keep up. So at this point, it's like let's just go to the source. Let's take out as many channels as we can with just again let's buy them. Let's just buy people to burn them out. Oh, by the way, sorry, let's not forget what's happened to the channels that I said have turned. Patricia Steer's channel is basically gone. Robbie Davidson has burned down what, 400 plus videos.
Has she delete? Have they deleted their videos? Have they deleted them or
Oh
just
no, they're
hidden them?
deleted. Yeah, and you know that because when if you hide a video, when you go into YouTube and it says total hit count for the channel,
Yeah, yeah,
that's not a high score. It doesn't stay there, meaning it's interactive. So if you delete
right.
2 million hits worth of videos and you had 20 million to start with, you now have 18. So when Jaron deleted 1,000 videos, yeah, I think it's more than 1,000 now. I'm basically
Wow,
years, like
wow.
6+ years of videos. He just started bottom, just that had to have been heartbreaking for him. Jaron, I'm sorry, man. But yeah, you do what you do. And Robbie Davidson not only killed that, but he killed CelebrateTruth.org. He has to kill it all, by the way, because of the name is in his title. Celebrate Truth has to go away because it's a truth channel, right? So now
Yeah.
he created a new channel called Not Flat.
Wow,
That's brilliant.
wow,
And
wow.
then Jaron, I think it was last night, released, and I apologize to the community. I probably inadvertently said, gave him the idea in a couple different things that I was doing, which was because it smelled so much like you're not old enough to remember. It smelled so much like the World Wrestling Federation um, New World Order thing that they did 20 years ago.
Oh, I'm definitely old enough. I'm definitely
You
old
remember
enough to
this?
remember.
Remember
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
So New
yeah, of
World
course.
Order, if you guys don't know what happened, the Wrestling Federation, their ratings were sagging. So they came up with the idea, it's like, what if we have some of the good guys flip and become bad guys and wear nothing but black uniforms and just stomp around and act really obnoxious and fire up the crowd with Hulk Hogan leading the charge. And it worked.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And it
Hollywood,
was
Hollywood, Hollywood Hogan. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It went,
Yeah.
yeah, Hollywood Hogan. And it did really, really well. And they ran it for good a bunch of not 10 years I don't think but enough to where it did amazing ratings. It was a good gimmick. You can look up the wiki page on it. It was a gimmick, which again, funny that inside a fake sport you had a fake gimmick inside a fake sport,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
worked freaking
Yeah.
flawlessly. So Jaron releases I think I sent it to you.
Yeah. I'll share it now. I'll share it now what you're
Yeah,
talking
he
about. Yeah.
released a thing last night called, instead of World Wrestling Federation, it's called We Were Flat.
Yeah. I'm showing
And
it. I'm showing it on the screen right now.
and he calls it our new logo. Now,
Wow.
gotta tell you, I'm hoping it doesn't necessarily catch for a couple reasons. But the big one is like our new logo. Who would be our, right? Are we
Yeah.
really going to do this? I mean, are you going to create an unholy alliance between you, Patricia, Paul, and Robbie Davidson? I mean, by the way, four very unlikely characters to be on any sort of same stream. I don't think those four have been. I mean, yes, they did a crypto stream together, but that it's not. This is not a group that would normally be together, which
Yeah.
similar to the NWO, you could pull off. However, and I'm advising this because again, I know you guys are listening to this. And if you take some of my ideas, hey, great, fine. Because it's a good idea. I recognized it immediately. Once it's like, oh my God, this sounds so much like the NWO, and then Jaron posts it. It's like, oh great. Because I know Jaron remembers it, which is you run the risk if you go down this road. Again, I'm going to give you some tips. If you run down this road, you run the risk of turning it into making it appear like a stunt, meaning you take this
Yeah.
too far and then no one's going to believe you in the first place because be like, okay, well, that was theater. Therefore, were you even serious about leaving flat Earth? Right? And it's like,
Yeah.
really? Did you really leave it? Or is this a big stunt that's being done inside of flat Earth to help boost flat Earth ratings? Which either way we win, our side wins on this. Either way you wanna spin it. If you want to keep going down the NWO side, oh my God, that is drama-tastic. That is dramalicious. We will absolutely
Well,
run all
we're
over
all
you.
talking about it, right? We're all talking about it. So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So it's in doing this, I know, your ultimate goal, but if you don't move fat, I'm not going to give him any more tips along those lines. The only other person that caught my eye, and I feel really bad. I mean, as much as Paul disappointed me, again, I'm not mad at the guy. It's like because it's like, I mean, I hung out with Paul, right? But
and again, another guy who did extensive work on the moon landings.
yeah. Oh
Uh,
no, hell, Paul delved into the satellites, all the
yeah.
overlays of
Yeah.
the Himawari satellite, for example.
Yeah.
Paul was the guy that did groundbreaking research on that. Now, granted, his channel's been gone for a while. The other person that bothered me again, and I spent time with her, was Rose 777, which was, and again, I know this only because Will Duffy rattled off her name. And then people immediately, and he basically outed her, right, before she was out. And so people
Yeah.
started calling her, and God bless her, Rose, sweet, sweet woman. She doesn't want to get yelled at by her friends, but at the same time, look, yeah, if you have medical debts, a lot of them, well, that weighs on you. I mean, what balance the scales? What's it worth? I mean, her medical debts have got to be ridiculous. And so if somebody came to you, it's like, hey, look, we want to take care of that. So she's been trying to cover her ass the best she can. Um, but as much as I, again, like to give her the benefit of the doubt, Will Duffy hasn't been wrong yet. And until he's wrong, now if he screws up one, if he throws out a name there, it's absolutely not turned, then he'll get called out for it. Then his credibility is in question. But so far, every name that he has called out,
I mean, Mark, where did
like
he
Mellow
come
Down,
from?
the
Where
what?
did he come? Where did he come from?
Will Duffy?
Because yeah, because I wasn't even aware of this guy previous to this TFE.
I don't know. I don't know where he can, but it doesn't really matter because look, whatever group is behind them is well financed.
Yeah,
They have some connection. If they have enough connections to organize a hack assault against the app, then it's more than just money. That means they've got some resources human resources to pull off.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and the money, I'll speculate a little bit. Why not? It's speculation, right?
yeah,
If you have 300 grand, give or take, to throw down on an Antarctic trip, what's a channel worth, right? If we're talking
yeah.
cash for channels here, what are we talking about? I know that whatever money you threw out there was big enough that Robbie didn't even hesitate. I mean, he was gone. It was
Like
I
that.
mean, he didn't even, it's like, how fast, how fast can I get to my computer? And once that deposit has been made, and Patricia, look, she's a material girl. So whatever it was for her, I mean, again, I know how much she hated driving a mid-range Mercedes, boo-hoo. And it's like, oh no, we're going top of the line now. Really? Last I heard, you lost big on crypto. So what's happening there? I mean, I know you got some money, but do you? Do you? How? You must have more now. And again, Jaron, he's always looked for the side hustle. That's why I like Jaron. I like the fact that he was always motivated. It's like, hey, we're doing super chats. Hey, we're doing crypto. Hey, we're doing Patreon. Hey, we're doing whatever. I mean, we've got a number of guys that like that in the community. It's like, look, you got to make a living, right? You
Yeah,
gotta
of
do
course.
whatever. And he's not alone. I mean, there's people all over social media. Um, the way he did it is again, again, there's a cost that comes with everything. And in his case, well, the strings, I feel more for him. I mean, Robbie's
Yeah,
freaking lost
yeah.
to me. He's like, look, the Christian community, it, what a, yeah, go against God and the Bible. That was, by the way, I saved his mission statement, which was like, the Bible proves flat Earth. And then it's like, by the way, the Bible proves nothing now. It's like, okay, yeah, God's gonna love that.
That's
Um,
gone now, right? That mission statement's gone now, right, isn't it?
Yeah, that statement's completely gone. He erased it.
Yeah,
First thing,
yeah.
mostly because Sean from Kingdom and Contest called him on it. It's like, look, what about celebratetruth.org? What about, I mean, and he went in and pasted Will Duffy's text over the front page of celebratetruth.org. Will Duffy's
Wow.
text, for God's sakes. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. Let's throw this in there. I know I'm jumping around, which is Robbie Davidson immediately afterwards, because he was getting phone calls right off the bat, said that he wanted that he was trying to get into Will Duffy's documentary. Why? Why?
Yeah.
Why would he? And again, he admitted this, to one of our people. It's like, why? It was like, Robbie, you should have just hung up the frickin' phone. Why? Why did you have to say that? It's like, why did you tell him you were going to be talking with Will Duffy about the documentary? And Will Duffy, on the side note, by the way, is denying that there's even a documentary in the works. Well, that's blown out of the water because Robbie Davidson already said he wants to be in his documentary. So you can't tell me, oh, there's no documentary. I know why he's doing it. Will Duffy he wants to say that there is no documentary because he's working through a third party. Don't know who exactly. I do,
Hmm.
but I'm not going to speculate yet for various reasons.
Yeah.
Will Duffy, because if Will Duffy makes an anti-flat Earth documentary, people are like, whatever, he's a flat Earth troll. No one's going to care. But if somebody who says they were a flat earther makes a documentary. Well, that's a whole nother thing. And this documentary, by the way, will have a completely different tone. Now, I still don't think it's going to work, which was okay, you have anti flat earthers in the documentary and you have former flat earthers in the documentary, but they're all on the same page, right? Where's the conflict? There's no drama there. It's like, okay, This person's a globe troll. This person's a globe troll. This person was a former flat earther that now is a globe troll. And it's like, okay, that's fine. And you're just going to hype up with with
Yeah.
backflashes. It's like, oh, look, Patricia. Well, again, I don't know that I know that Robbie's going to be in it unless they can't figure out he can't act on camera. So he's trying to be in it. They may cut him. Jaren's absolutely going to be in it. He is 100% in it.
He's the poster boy. He's the
Yeah, yeah,
poster
he
boy
is the
now, right?
guy. Because
Yeah.
now they can use behind the curve, they can reference all the
Yeah.
stuff, they can reference 10 years of work. He is the big feather in the cap. Whatever he's making, well, again, they're making him work for it now because again, he's attacking David Zapp. It's like, okay, again, the World Wrestling thing, we'll see if that gets any traction. I still think that's a dicey proposition, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Um,
he's literally. This has been my question, right? Why? And obviously, we're talking about money, but why would someone turn their back on like so many years of like research and hard content and hard work and make themselves into a social pariah?
Well,
Why?
again, extrapolate from the rock concert thing that I brought up earlier, which is, look, again, you have friends. I've watched it happen where it's like, dude, you have been waiting for this concert, for
Yeah,
months, and
yeah,
you just leave. That's it. It's like, man, I haven't even had $1,000 in my hand before, right? And they're
yeah,
gone,
yeah,
and that's just
yeah,
$1,000. And
yeah,
what if? Let's throw a number out there, right? What if we're talking pushing seven figures? You
yeah.
know, what would someone be willing to do to do that? And now, again, it's not like they just give you the money and it's over, right? No,
Yeah.
no. You have to burn down your channel. You have to stay in the chat rooms. And by the way, that's another thing that blows my, Jaren was doing a live stream and Patricia and Robbie and Paul were all in that chat room at the same time. What? Why? First off, Patricia's gone. She doesn't even have content on her channel anymore. Why is she in there? Well, there's strings. Robbie, why is he in there? Well, he's definitely, there's strings. Paul on the plane, no one even knows where he's been for years. And what he had to create a brand new YouTube channel or whatever just to show up in chat. So no,
Like,
the short
yeah,
answer to your question is money talks. Money makes
yeah, yeah.
weird things. I've had people I'm never surprised when it comes to, I mean, how many times in movie and television, in real life, we've heard the stories. When it comes to money, people do weird things. They will do. Okay, I'll give you a great pop culture reference. Ready? This one I love. Um, do you remember the Colin Farrell movie where it was the SWAT movie?
Yes,
You remember? Okay.
yes,
So
yep,
it was based on the television show, but it was like late 90s, early 2000s reboot. But it was a SWAT movie, and it was
yep,
about a drug dealer that was going to get big drug kingpin, and he was going to go into jail, and where he was in the local county jail, and before he goes into county jail, he yells to the television cameras, $250 million to the first person that breaks me out, right? And the news story ran it, right? Which is the worst thing ever. And we're talking 250 million bucks here. And so
yeah,
the whole movie was about how SWAT had to protect this guy from being broken out of jail, during the big convoy.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
who ended up freaking taking the money in the end and trying to break him out, but the SWAT team members themselves. So don't think for the guys that were supposed to protect him in the first place.
Yeah,
Money does weird things to people. And look, I get it, especially if you need it. If you need if the demand is there,
of
everybody
course.
that has been talked to so far, and again, I am speculating. Can I prove this in a court of law? No, but I don't believe in coincidence. Everybody that's involved here needed the money. All of them.
Yeah,
Every
and just
single
and like say like that is an exact premise, but just the timeline of them all
going
at the
down,
same,
just bam, bam,
yeah,
bam,
yeah,
bam.
yeah,
Yeah.
same time, then regurgitating the same script,
Yeah,
and
and by the way,
yeah,
thank you by the way for mentioning that. They're all saying the same things. That's the other part, which is how we'll know if somebody else flips because they use the exact same script. And then you can't change the script. I'm giving it away here, but you can't change it, which is Antarctica proves the globe, all space programs are real, and flat Earth is a cult.
yeah,
Boy, did that bug me that listening to Paul on the plane say that in social media
wow,
posts. That's like flat Earth
wow,
is cold. It's like you, dude. I don't even
wow,
remember the last time you used that word. and you're going to use that on us now. But again, that's part of the script. And look, I don't mind. I've said this on different interviews over the years. It's like, look, technically speaking, flat Earth has all the earmarks of a cult. Always has. You know,
Yeah.
the only thing different is we don't have a Bible or a compound. We don't wear robes. We don't have chanting. Well, not much chanting. And but the rest of it, oh yeah, I mean, there's leaps of faith. We talk about us and them, and but at the same time, we're not. In fact, we don't recruit. Here's the other thing: we're not recruit. We don't recruit as a flat Earth group as much as you guys are recruiting now. In fact, the globalist trolls before this weren't recruiting as hard as these guys. This is
Yeah.
way, way, way beyond the pale. So moving forward. Again, I gave Jaron all the benefit in the world. I defended him in different videos. At this point, we did the round table. Everybody's got their eye on everybody else, meaning everyone said like we're solid. And I think for the most people, the benefits don't outweigh the strings attached, which is it's one thing again, if it's put to you, it's like, okay, here's the money, but just so you know, you're going to have to do some unpleasant things. A
Yeah.
lot of people are like, yeah, I don't want to do it. I can't. And I think Robbie at one point tried. I watched him at one point try to make his videos private, for example, because his hit count wasn't going down, and he was still and was starting to make them private. In fact, I think he had made like 200 of them private, and because it's private, well, it's still there. It exists. And I think they told him it's like, sorry, man, you can't have a channel with 20 million hits. It's like we need that channel to be severely diminished. We need that
Yeah.
thing burned as close as we can. And then within hours, he was like, nope, it's down to what, 4 million hits or something like that. So yeah, everybody's doing what they're told. Um, do I think that there could be anybody? Yeah, but it's not going to be en masse because who else are you going to get? And they stick out like a sore thumb now.
Yeah.
Everybody is
Yeah.
pretty much, we're
Uh,
not
uh,
asking for what reaffirmations or whatever that word is.
yeah. And
But
like you've previously said, Jaron is the feather in the cap. He is the feather in the cap, right?
yeah, yeah, and by the way, you didn't need, and I joked about this in a short video I made where I said, look, because I gave everybody the benefit of the doubt. I go, look, if you really want to turn them, you turn all three of them. Then I backtracked from that. It's like, no, no, what they're doing is actually smarter because once they had Jaron, they didn't need Austin and Lisbeth. They don't. In fact, it looked better because come on, nobody would have believed that the whole team flipped on the ice. Nobody would believe.
Yeah.
But if one of
Yeah.
them flipped they would have gone with, I'm not picking on Lisbeth. She's great and everything, but her channel isn't really established. She doesn't have a big social media presence out there.
Yeah.
Austin or Jaron would have worked. Austin would have been less believable because he's done street activism. He's done so many debates where he just destroys people.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I always thought he was the new hope.
yeah,
The way he would debate people, the way he talks, his knowledge.
oh yeah, he
Yeah.
he he just wrecks people. He's a
Yeah.
wrecking ball. But
Yeah.
Jaron was a good choice because he could do live streams. He could keep it going, provided his mental state, didn't degrade too much, and then eventually pull him out. I don't know when, maybe before the documentary, maybe
Well,
after.
what? Have you been watching any of them? He's been doing like nightly kind of these,
I, ca-
uh,
I can't watch him too much because
yeah.
I can't take him seriously because I know he doesn't mean it. Right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And again, because if I watched it, there'd be a suspension of disbelief. It's like, wow, he really is an asshole. He's not. I mean, yeah, he's got his moments like anybody, right?
Yeah, of
And
course.
I'm not going to talk about his extracurricular activities. That really doesn't have one thing doesn't have to do with the other,
Yeah. Yeah.
but because it doesn't. You can do whatever you want in your free time. But in this case, it's like it's hard for me to watch because I know that that's part. Look, I know how it works. That's what they would ask you to do. It's like, sorry, you're going to have to read these lines. You're going to have to
Yeah.
do this. You're going to have to.
He,
This is the agenda.
yeah.
And
He's burning those bridges and that burning
yeah,
that
but
in
but that's
lifetime in lifetime.
yeah, that's the price you have to pay. And now moving forward, their focus will be, and I can't wait to see it. It's going to be the documentary, which is all right because they got to release it pretty soon here. I mean, the drama that they're putting out here, it hasn't gotten any mainstream traction. I mean, the Antarctic trip. I will say this about the group that they're working with. They're not so big that they can generate media headlines on their own. Meaning, Will
Yeah.
Duffy tried to get the media to acknowledge the Antarctic trip before they went down there, got nowhere. To where he ended up paying $700. He wasn't even shy about it, buying, the lead service. You can pay like six, $700
Yeah.
and get some fake leads fired out to news services, and maybe somebody will bite on it. And he got a couple bites, but nothing major. And when they came back, nothing. It's not like NBC or ABC or anybody's running stories on this. The documentary has a chance to generate things like that, but they still have to finish it. The problem with
Yeah.
any project like this is you have to actually finish the project. And like the director's curse, directors never finish their movies. If they without the studios, the directors would never finish their freaking movies. It would always
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm so close. It's like, no, you're not. So in this case, that's what they're working on. Rumor has it they're going to try to get into the film festival thing by April if they don't have a streaming service already signed up. It's not going to go into theaters or anything like that. But
Do you think this thing hurts Flat Earth when it comes? Do you
no,
think it hurt? No.
no, I don't. That's just it. Well, one, the odds of it are of doing anything are not great because I mean ours was the behind the curve was unique in that no one had seen it before.
Yeah.
And it was in a bunch of different locations and plus you had pro, it was both. Went to the film festivals. It was both pro and con,
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun. Had a light heart to it. I mean, it was fun watching the fact that audiences didn't even think it was a real movie for like 20, 30 minutes. That
Yeah. Yeah.
that part blew my mind. It was like I'm
Yeah.
sitting next to them and I can see the moment. They're like, whether I could watch people in the audience nudge each other. It's like, dude, this isn't docufiction. This is real. This is a thing, right?
Yeah.
This isn't made up. Meaning like the docufiction like Best in Show
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and what was the metal movie? Oh, what was that fake band back in
Oh.
the day? Turn It Up to 11.
Oh.
Oh crap.
I
Alkaline
don't know. I
Trio
don't
again.
know.
Yeah. Shoot. I can't believe I didn't like the movie. That's probably why it's not committed to memory. Spinal Tap. Jeez. Spinal Tap.
Right. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
docufiction. A fake band making a
Yeah.
fake documentary about a fake band.
Yeah.
So, do I think it'll hurt us? No, not necessarily. Especially since we're so far out in front of it. Meaning, okay, we'll just use I'll leave Patricia out because I like her, which is Robbie and Jaron are in it, right? And they're both saying that they legitimately flipped. And the internet, here's the difference, which is, some years ago you could get away with something like that, but the internet is date stamped. There's
Yeah.
there is a
Yeah.
timeline of how
Yeah.
things go, and it is easy to find. So all people have to do, it's like, oh no, this is when people suspected Jared. That's when he flipped. Beforehand, people will put the pieces together, and it'll all be suspect. So, and plus, sorry, last thing, it has to be good. It's got to actually
Yes.
be.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a Steve.
There
That's a
is
Steve.
there is that part. There is that.
Yes,
There is
that's a
that.
Steve Martin line. It's like, don't worry about other things. Think first about being good at what you do. And if the documentary isn't shot right, if the editing isn't perfect, and again, what's the plot line exactly? Is it the trip? Or are you turning flat earthers? And if you are, why didn't you flip? First off, why didn't you flip the other two that were down there? And why are people in your documentary that had nothing to do with the trip at all? Can
Yeah.
you connect everything up? I don't know. If it was me, if they hired me to come on and edit this thing, I'd be like, ugh, this is not going to be pretty.
Yeah. What has been Austin's stance since he got back? What has been his stance?
So far, he's been good. I mean, he
Yeah.
went, look, if he was turned, then he's done a master class in defensive posturing, meaning I've never seen anyone work so hard and push his health to the limit to do damage control for something he didn't do. Meaning he
Yeah.
didn't say anything bad about the flat earth down on the ice. He never renounced anything. It's like, fine, he had a vape issue. The vape issue doesn't have anything to do with it, in my opinion. So when he came back, he was in, I mean, hell, he came on Strange World and to do damage control. And I've heard him do other podcasts where he sounded terrible. I mean, you could tell this
Yeah.
man was not sleeping.
Yeah.
Um, I've never had a doubt in Austin. I've never seen him. I mean, he's trying to be as open-minded, as flexible as possible,
He
but
was
he's
on the
not.
round table. He was on the round table as
Yeah,
well,
he was in
wasn't
the
he?
round
Yeah.
table as
Yeah.
well. He didn't make the moves that Jaron did. At this point,
No.
whoever's in, whoever's flipping, they've got to be out. We'll use the in and out thing. They've got to be out,
Yeah. Yeah.
and most of them are. Melodome is out, and Rose is digging her heels in. They'll eventually have to talk to her, unfortunately, because that's she's not gonna be able to hold out forever. Um,
Yeah.
Patricia, I think, was out, but out of the entirely. But then again, again, there's consistency issues. If you're out, then why are you in Jaron's chat room? You're out. You quit Flat Earth forever. Why would you even give a
Yeah.
crap about Jaron's chat room?
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense, especially
You're
since you
off.
have no.
You're off in your new car. You're off in
Yeah,
your
yeah.
new.
It's
Yeah.
again, unless that's protocol, which is you guys need to give support. It's a team support issue,
It looks that way. It
which
looks that
leads
way. Yeah.
finally back to the World Wrestling, the we were flat thing, which is like, okay, if you guys are really serious about doing this, be ready because you are going to catch. This isn't going to be like the Hollywood Hogan. This is
Yeah.
going to be. This is not going to be anywhere near the brilliance of the Hollywood Hogan thing was they got, as you can imagine, they made sure that they gave out cheap, very very inexpensive NWO shirts out to the arenas to where
Yeah.
have all these kids wearing them, and then you had these feuds inside the venue, right? You had the black shirts versus the non-black
Yeah.
shirts. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it was great because it's not even real, but you got the fans fighting with each other about about their favorite villains who aren't villains.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's basically it. So that was as of 3 hours ago or 4 hours ago that we're finally up to speed. I haven't checked the stuff recently, but now because of you guys, WWF, now I've got to check stuff all the time, and people are sending me
Yeah.
stuff. But I can guarantee nothing's happened recently because I'm looking at my feeds and nobody's
Yeah.
messaged me. So I think we're good.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. This whole thing is just. I can't believe that this is where we are right now. It's
It
you.
is, but come on, man. Does it really
Mm,
surprise you? I mean, for me, I didn't lose a wink of sleep because it's like, wow, this was years late, because I honestly thought it
yeah.
would happen, 5 years ago, where it's like
Yeah.
you go out and it's like, hey, again, it was the running joke. Who would take the cash?
Yeah.
Sooner or later, someone was going to do it. Nobody, and I'm trying to stress this to the community because I'll reproduce this on my channel, which is nobody's bulletproof. Nobody. Nobody. I don't care who you are. We're good. Don't get me wrong. We're very, very good. There's a reason why nobody flipped for the longest time. But then again, there were no real offers for the longest time. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you walk into a room, it always, again, it surprises people. You put a stack of cash down, who's going to go for it? And
Yeah.
most of the time you're like, oh no, he's not going to. And then, oh wow, he did. There's a line here. I'll give you a great little line. I don't want to drag this out, but there was a great little line from Braveheart, if you remember that movie.
Oh, it's my favorite. It's my favorite movie. Of course, I love that movie.
Do you remember the point where just before the big fight, where some of the
The
mercenaries turned against Wallace?
Irish. Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and the king
Battle of
the
Falkirk.
king didn't have a worried look on his face, and he's going, "Oh no, we bought such and such,
Yeah.
such." But these lords over here, they were bought for much less.
Much
And
less.
and there was the line what he was implying was it even surprised him how cheaply they sold out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with land and titles for others, but others I didn't have to do barely anything. That sort of thing. And so it
It's a great analogy.
yeah, it was.
Jared and Patricia.
Well, I mean, I think they in something like this, let's put it this way. If I was on the other side and I was approaching someone, you don't want to make them think about it. Meaning, whatever the figure is, I think it was eyebrow raising.
Yeah.
What you know the type in the movie is like you throw enough at them to where either they're not going to hesitate or they're going to turn
Yeah.
it down for it's like they or there's no price at all.
Yeah.
And in this case, you want to overwhelm them basically.
Yeah.
And
Of
to
course.
where it had to have been overwhelming for Robbie, for example, to do what he did. Whatever it was like, yeah, I'm out. Or oh hell, the recent oh God, another analogy, not as good, but it's more the movie Nobody. Um,
I'm not
tell
sure
me
I know that.
tell me you watched Nobody about
N-
the CIA op that was on the
Uh,
bus and beat up some Russian guys on accident.
um,
Oh, you've
who
never
was
watched it?
who was it? Who was in this movie? Who was in that movie?
Oh, hang on. I'll
Let
find
me have a quick look.
hang
Yeah,
on. It's
nobody.
Nobody
Let me have a look.
movie cast. It's a few years old now. It's Bob Odenkirk. 2021, as a
Oh,
matter of fact.
oh,
Never seen it.
no,
Oh my
no.
God, you've got to
I've
watch
not.
that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, seriously, find it, watch it. I think it's on Netflix right now. It's a wonderful movie. There's a point in the movie where,
Oh no. So the guy from Better Call Saul. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he got his own movie, and it was
No,
brilliant. It was
no,
very,
I've
very
not
well done.
seen it. I've not seen it.
It
No.
was like a really gritty, everyman John Wick movie. So like
All
it's
right.
wasn't as polished as John Wick, but this was one of those things where it's like, oh yeah. Again, this point is it's this guy who's nobody, but he's not nobody. And there's a point in the movie where earlier in the movie, he wanted to buy out his boss's business. And his boss is and I'm not going to tell you who the boss is. You know the actor. And his boss like, he goes, it's a good offer, but it's not a great offer. He goes, I want to sell for a great offer. So towards the end of the movie, Bob Odenkirk just walks in and dumps a bag of gold onto his desk. His gold bars. And he man stands up, like shakes his hand and says, that is a great offer. And he's out of there.
Yeah,
And that's again, you overwhelm them. You overwhelm the senses, and that's how you do it. So whatever it was, again, good for you guys, great, but there are strings attached.
Yeah.
That's a warning to everybody else in the community. Nothing.
conspiracy music guru says in the chat, every man has a price.
Every man does have a price. They do.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just it and sometimes it's not money, right? I love to. Yeah, I joke about Weiss, for example. It's like I can't even imagine what Weiss's price would be. It would be so high. I mean, mine doesn't really have a price because I would ask for something so ridiculous that no one could meet it. It's unbelievably high. It can't be done. But like with Weiss, we joked at some of my friends. It's like, what would he ask for? It's like he's like $50 million and a village, right? And be like, a villa? It's like, no, an entire village. The police, the shops, the horses, the mayor's house, the whole thing. That's what I'd want.
It's a tough one because when people are just saying kind of hypothetically, what's your price? Like somebody has a briefcase with
We've
five.
all had those discussions,
Yeah,
haven't we?
yeah, yeah. Of
What
course
would
we
you
have.
what would it take? The guys do it all the time. What would you do to do this whole how much would it take to kill a guy or whatever it is? I mean, honestly, the price of a contract killer is cheap by comparison to some things. But what would you do for $1 million? What would you do for 2 million or 2 million pounds,
Yeah,
for
cash
example?
right in front of you.
Like,
Right, 2 million pounds. It's a lot of money. It's life-changing money for a lot of people. And I mean, come on,
Yeah,
there's a reason why people play the lottery. And then get those moments. I don't want to delve into it too much, but I always love American lottery winners because we've run into them. Hell, I've known a couple where they say, oh, I'm going to keep working, right? And you know what happens? They go to work and the first sign of trouble, the first bad day they have at work, it's like, you know what? I don't need this. I am gone. Somebody takes their lunch, like their lunch out of the fridge,
yeah,
whatever it is. It doesn't matter. If somebody steps on their toe, whatever it is, they're looking for an excuse to get out.
yeah.
And
And I think if at this point, if randomly next week you started saying I've turned my back, I'm sorry, the
oh
sun
no no
does
no no
prove.
no no. And
People would know. People
let
would
me
know.
yeah,
before we get to the final sign-offs, let me end my little rant with this.
Yeah,
Everything I've been talking about. I want to
yeah,
reinforce this to the community. Um, I was there in the beginning. Um, there is nothing they can do. I am in one of those positions, whether it be by fate or by the divine design or whatever, where you can't get to me because it must kill him. It must absolutely kill him because I never got married. I never had kids.
Yeah.
Um, because of the fireworks thing, my assets were distributed over certain things. And I'm like, fine, you want to go to my bank accounts, wipe them out, have at it. You can't really accuse me of anything because I don't think anyone would believe it. So what leverage do you got? I mean, pain and death. That's not going to go very far. So again, there's nothing you can do. So again, I am the one, which is why Patricia could only go so far with me. In fact, she probably told him it's like, yeah, you're never getting that guy.
Yeah.
Because again, as much as there are people that can be bought, there are some people that can't be bought. And for me, it's not because I think of myself as a better person. Well, I am, but it's not just that. It's not just
Yeah.
that. It's because it's spite more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's for the same reason
Yeah.
I wouldn't read Patricia's letter. I wouldn't read it because she told me to. And it's
Yeah.
like, again, you're telling me to do something that I don't want to do on principle, and I know, full well. It's like, okay, fine, you want the sound bite. I don't know why. I'm sorry. Let me throw one more little wrinkle in. For those of you who still aren't convinced yet, there was a part that bugged me, and it was a little thing, which was not only did Patricia say she wanted me to read the letter on air, but then Jaron, during his rant right after that show, said, "Why are you so afraid of reading Patricia's letter on air?"
Oh,
And
wow.
then he
Mhm.
Skyped me. Didn't think I read it, did you, Jaron? And he Skyped me, and his opening line, he hasn't Skyped me in years. And he Skyped me, he goes, "Why are you so afraid of reading Patricia's letter? Why the hell would he give a crap about
Yeah.
Patricia's letter?
Yeah.
Why?" And
Yeah.
by the way, that also means you're colluding because it means you have a copy of Patricia's letter. Why would you have a copy? Why did you know? He's never going to address that part. He screwed up, which was, again, I'm not mad at you. I just look, I call it as I see it. I call the plot holes, which is how
Yeah.
did you know she was leaving before I did? Right? How did you know
Yeah.
exactly? And why were you telling people she was leaving before I did? Yeah, it's like, wait, there's no wiggle room. What if she changed her mind? What if Robbie changed her mind? No, you knew they weren't going to change their minds. How did you know this? Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it was laid out in stone. It was already going to happen. It was in, it was baked in. You know what I mean? It was all part of the
Y-
layout.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
so this again, disclaimer for everybody. Of course, this is all speculation, not legally binding in any way. But I know our community, and I know they're going to connect the dots like I did, and it's going to take some of you a while. I know some people are still going to say, the kind souls that are out there, they're going to say, "Oh no, I refuse to believe." Look, denial is the most predictable human response ever. It's one of the five stages of acceptance: denial,
Yeah.
anger,
Yeah.
bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
Yeah.
I know why you don't want to believe it. Same reason I did. Look, I made videos. Not only did I defend him, Jaron, I made videos defending him, saying he's cool. Love the irony that I actually put in a picture of a BMW and said Jaron hasn't bought a new BMW yet. And then if you look at the timeline, 1 week later,
Wow.
somebody buys an even more expensive Mercedes, the second most expensive one they sell, and those cars aren't cheap.
Yeah.
So yeah, I defended them, and now as long as I could, I just can't anymore.
I
So
I don't know how anybody can't be at the point where I don't know how anybody can't after everything you've just laid out there. How if you can't
yeah,
connect
it,
if you can't connect those dots now, then
you, you,
wow.
you know why? Okay, I'll give you one last thing, and then we got to wrap this up. Which is, unless you have some final parting shots, which is I'll use the cheating spouse detective thing. There's a thing in America. I don't know what they do over where you are, but women who are worried that their husbands are cheating on them
Yeah.
will always not believe it right up until the point that they see it. There's wonderful stories about private detectives. So a woman goes to a private detective. That's usually how it goes, right? If you don't know, friends that are connected, they'll go to a private detective and they'll say, "Hey, um, I need to find out if my husband's cheating on me." And a good private detective will always tell them the same thing. They'll be like, "Look, I don't want to do this." And it's like, why? It's like, well, one, you're not going to be repeat business, obviously, and you're going to try to shoot the messenger. And what happens is it always happens the same way. They absolutely do not believe it. It's like it can't be happening until you throw the photographs right down on the, on the table as soon as they show up. And
Yeah.
then like, I hate you. I hate you. And they leave, in a huff. But up until that point, they absolutely would not, refuse to believe it. So yeah, I understand. I understand everyone, in our community. Look, I don't blame you because 10 years, 10 golden years, we've been absolutely freaking foolproof. And I think it was part of it was because we kept saying that over and over. It's like they got nobody, nobody's flipped. It's true. And then all of a sudden, whoa, flip, 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 and they're all high
Wow.
profile. And it's like, oh, we're all Globe, and we're gonna start our own wrestling thing. It's like, come on.
We were flat.
Yeah, we were flat. Really, really.
Wow.
You're so
Yeah.
enthusiastic about it that you're instead of just walking back into the shadows and hiding away. No, no, no. We're on the offense.
Wait, yeah, we're going the other
Yeah,
way.
we're
We're going
going the
the
other
other
way.
way.
And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the fact that you had to take a page out of the World Wrestling NWO. I mean, come on, it's in the first paragraph. It's like it was a gimmick to generate ratings. And if that's what you're using, it's like, okay, okay. That's fine. Again, not last thing. I'm not mad. I just want to reinforce that. I'm not pissed off. I mean, I know some of you are going to, some of you might want retribution. It's look,
I see a lot of people being angry towards it. Like he's when you read the comments at every post that he makes, it's yeah.
yeah, yeah. I
There's a
mean,
lot of angry people. There's a lot of angry people.
to quote the Depeche Mode song, "Try walking in my shoes," right? You don't know the situation they were in to take it, but I guarantee it was dire enough, or it was on their mind. If someone's looking for a solution, it's like, oh man, I wish I had more funds. If you say that enough, and they know this, it's a weakness. So they're going to use it against you. And in this case, again, no coincidence that everybody was in the same boat and everybody,
No,
which is why, and
no.
the other people, the community members, look, I don't care. And plus I'm older. Sorry, one more thing for Duffy and MC2. And it's like, guys, you could probably approach me when I was in like 30. Oh yeah, you might have been actually to get somewhere when I was 30. I'd be like, I didn't care. I was still, but I'm 56 now. It's like, what would I do with it? It's like dump a garbage bag full of cash over there. I'd be like, oh, what am I gonna do with that? It's like seriously. I mean,
Yeah,
at this point, I've gotten, I grew up in a different situation. I got to
yeah,
do, and plus my needs. I never had, never. It's like I never want. What one? I was never a big car guy. So it's like I never aspired. It's like I need a Lambo, or my
yeah,
life isn't
yeah,
fulfilled,
yeah,
or the idiots. It's like I need a super yacht. I need a Gulfstream jet. I want to fly first class everywhere all the time and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, it's not really me. So maybe I was the right guy for the job in this case.
yeah, definitely. I mean, my last point will be like,
Yeah,
how big is flat Earth? If they have to go to this extent,
yeah,
this huge plan,
yeah,
and use this much kind of financial incentives and this whole thing, like
yeah.
to stop it, then wow.
Yeah, you're right. It is flattering. It is fun at the same time. Yeah, and yes, it's immediate. They don't do this with other conspiracies.
Nope.
They're doing it with us. They're spending a lot of money and creating a lot of chaos and division where they can. And again, that is flattering. I mean, again, we were aspiring to. I mean, come on, is that shocking? Considering the Senate hearings, the Google changes, the YouTube changes, the social media changes overall that people are
Yeah.
having to adjust for us. That part is amazing. Again, I knew back when they tore the scoreboard down. It's like, oh, that's not good. I go, they just tore the scoreboard down for the entire internet, for this thing. It's like all because of us. It's like, well, that's delusional. It's like, no, it's not, because I was reading off the scoreboard on a regular basis, and somebody didn't like that. I was like, look how
Yeah.
well we're doing against everybody. And
Yeah.
again, the goal wasn't to kill us; it was to slow us down. I don't know, maybe killing us was too much. But yes, you're absolutely right. We are I'm excited. I've never, I'm feeling better about this than I have in a long time, just because the drama is
Yeah.
heightened,
It has.
and
Yeah,
and
I get it.
and
Yeah, yeah.
and you know what? To the WWFs, I know you're not going to call it the NWO, obviously. To their credit, I have complained for several years now that the globalist, well, our biggest weakness is we don't have good enough trolls. I always wanted Neil Tyson to dedicate troll stuff to us. I wanted Joe Rogan to hit us
Yeah,
harder.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
now we have them. And you know what? They're us. It's even which was the point of the whole NWO
Yeah,
thing. It's like who better to attack your guys than your own troops.
yeah.
So
It's it's
great.
it's genius.
It is
It
genius. It
is
is
really well.
genius.
I mean, it's not original, but at the same time, it's that part is working. It is generate whether or not, you do any, you gain any more ground after this, the chatter, the social
Oh,
media.
it's crazy.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's all over the place, and the only ones that haven't jumped on it yet is mainstream. I'm kind of crossing my fingers that somebody talks about it. We may have to wait till the documentary.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
anyway, great
I mean,
job, guys.
it's been so good just to get your perspective on it. I wanted to hear
Well, I
what
mean,
you thought.
I was unique in that I was there when it all started,
Yeah,
and I wouldn't have
Yeah.
even have cared that much, but I knew everybody. Everybody was tied to me in some way. I mean, all of them. Jaron probably the least. I mean, yeah, we did conferences together, but we never really hung out. But Patricia and I hung out. Paul and
yeah,
I did multiple conferences and even international conferences, and Robbie and I, all sorts of fun stuff. And yeah, so I had to chime in because for God's sakes, it's like because I didn't want because information. I love staying on top of the information. Part of the spin.
yeah,
You're going
yeah.
to see narratives come out about this and that, which is fine. But I try to remain. Again, this whole thing, I haven't gotten emotional. This is just how it is. This is how it's going to go down, and you guys can decide for yourselves what to do. I encourage no other channels. Again, if you take the money, hey, look, I'm not going to get mad. Just know in advance, it's not free. It's not without, some very strong strings attached to it, and
Yeah,
that you'll have to determine at some point whether it's worth it, and I hope
yeah.
you don't regret it after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, Will Duffy, if you're watching this, 5 million. I'm only
Yeah.
joking.
Well, no. Hey, look, again,
5 million, Will. 5 million.
but at the same time, again, are you willing to burn down? Again, look at the people that were doing it. They were. It's like, oh no, they're willing to. Jaron, more of a surprise. But sorry, one more thing. I'm going to throw a little barb in at
Go
Jaron.
for it. Go
All
for it.
right, and that was, and look, I've heard this from a bunch of people because they've asked. It's like because I didn't come up with the idea. It's like, would he still have been doing this if Bob was still around?
I've heard that. Yeah.
No, he would have not. Bob was one of the most emotional, passionate, conviction-based men I have met. You did
Rest.
not want to
Yeah.
get on Bob's bad side, and he had opinions on things, and I watched him just, lose his mind on stuff. So
Yeah.
if
Rest in peace.
he
Rest
would
in
have
peace, Bob. Yeah.
he would have shut this down, and it would have never have happened. They would have never approached him if
Yeah.
Bob was around, because
Yeah.
Bob would have been like, dude, you absolutely cannot do it. In fact, so no, it's
Yeah.
and again the positions were, or the other side real quick. Sorry, I don't
No,
want to
no,
drag this out, but there's always
no.
the little thing that was, would Robbie have taken it if Rob Skiba was still around?
Yeah.
Right? Rob
Yeah.
Skiba, the benchmark, because people would have immediately turned at Rob Skiba, and they would have said, dude, you got to do something. And Rob would have
They
freaking lost it.
would. They
Rob, you
would.
couldn't have
Yeah.
couldn't have gotten to now, um, because he, as much as he wanted to have a certain lifestyle, I mean, he wanted to be a Hollywood director. Everybody knows it. He wasn't shy about doing that. But when he went through that crucible that he had to lead us to here, he's not going back to that sort of thing, which is why I was so excited that I had the chance, that one shining moment where he went with me to Kelsey Grammer's house, back in Los Angeles, when he had that moment. Here he is in this $1 million house patio talking to Kelsey Grammer, about flat Earth, and it's like, and in another time and place, that's where he wanted to be. He wanted to
Yeah.
be, in Hollywood, and it's like,
Uh,
and even then, you couldn't have gotten to him now.
no, no. Conspiracy Music Guru says Bob's turning
In his grave right now.
I know, I know, poor
Yeah.
Bob. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
but
is.
at the same
He
time,
is.
but that's what they look for, right? And again, it was the perfect moment to go after the. Again, Patricia with the bad breakup. Jaron had lost Bob. Um, Robbie had been booted from the conferences. Remember, that was money. Robbie made money off those
Yeah, of
conferences.
course.
He
Of
wasn't
course.
doing it. He wasn't breaking even on those things. He was making money off those. We cut him off from those funds. I'm sure he had a bitter side to him about that.
Definitely.
And it's like and I understand. It's like all promoters are like the same, are all the same all the way around. Like you maximize the stuff, you try to minimize this, and you look for the opportunities. I don't understand where Robbie's thing was, but it wasn't going to work with our community. Eventually, you were not going to be able to
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
So and Paul on the plane, eh, he was just again lost on crypto. So
Wow.
he didn't have a beef against the community. That's the sad part. He didn't even have a beef. He was just in the right place at the right time, and opportunity knocks. He'd be like, "Say, do I have to make any public appearances? No, maybe not. We'll see." So last thing, we will see again. The two things I'm looking forward to moving forward. One is the documentary, and the other is who shows up on Jaron's channel.
Yeah.
For live, because
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's gonna
the
happen.
only
That's gonna happen. That's
yeah,
gonna happen.
the only person that's been on his channel live so far, MC Toon,
Oh, yeah.
which that makes total sense to me. That tracks. Oh yeah, they're friends now. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Even though
He's
I'm pretty sure. No, wait, I know for sure that he badmouthed him so much,
yeah. Yeah. He was
so
obsessed.
much,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh no, I take it all back. He's a great guy. Okay, sure. Yep. I
Yeah.
believe it.
That just tells you. That tells you everything you need to know.
All right. Well, thank
Right. Well,
you.
yeah, no, listen, it's been my pleasure. Like I say, I'm so grateful to you because without the Flat Earth Clues, without you making that, none of this happens. This podcast doesn't exist. My friendships with so many people, including big shout out to Alex, Michael, Conspiracy Music Guru, and everybody else who I've met through the Flat Earth community. None of that happens without Flat Earth Clues. So
Yeah.
I'm genuinely so grateful to you. Thank you so much for sharing your time tonight. It's been my pleasure to speak to you and just thank you for everything that you do within the community. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And, let me know if you ever want to talk again. And again, I don't think this drama is over by any stretch.
It's definitely
So,
not. Watch this
we may
space.
be doing
Watch
this
space.
sooner rather than later.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah. Let's reconvene. It's like, how soon? I don't know. Did we miss anything during the podcast? I don't think so. I think we're okay.
It can change from hour to hour, to be fair. So
Exactly.
yeah, we'll
Anyway,
see.
thank you, and everybody out there, stay strong, stay flat, and feel free to reach out to me in any way. You can email me, call me. My phone number's over there.
When can we catch the next episode of Strange World?
Oh, that's tomorrow. Tomorrow
Tomorrow.
night, episode 502 with Shane, I believe. Shane St. Pierre.
Yeah.
We're having
Cool.
him.
Well, everybody get over there and get that episode.
But just you guys warning you, I'm not going to be doing what we did here. We're going to be doing the guests because
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from the guests.
No, of course. Of
And
course.
plus, that being said, because I will try to post this tonight. We will see what Jaron has to do and scramble with, and we'll see what he posts tomorrow. But again, I don't want to take away from the guests, and DJ and Lisbeth are doing a great job. So
Yeah. Well, I'll send you the link because obviously I was displaying quite a lot of stuff while you were talking as well. So I'll send you the link for. Well, it'll be online anyway. So.
Oh yeah, send it to me and I'll post it on. I'll
Yeah.
pin the comment on mine.
Fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
Again, thank you so much. And listen, guys, if you've liked what you've seen tonight, why not? Please press the subscribe button and never miss another episode. That's it for me and Mark, and we'll see you all next time on the Loft Project. See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much.